Hello, Durud, Shalom, Hola, and Namaste. We be live. Hi, guys.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Oh, I forgot to set up the goal. So, guys, we just heard that we were supposed to talk about something else, but right before we went live, we just heard that there's alarms going up in the UAE right now. There's apparently they're being attacked by the Houthis. Is that right? Let me just bring this
Oh,
up.
is it Houthis?
This
Do we know?
I, it's well, I mean, that's what people are saying. I'm not sure. Sure. Here, let me put it on screen. Is this what it was?
Hmm.
Okay, so Yemen Houthis likely launched missile on UAE. Again, I'm not saying it's true. So first, this was so breaking UAE air defense system detected a missile threat, according to a post by the UAE defense minister on X. And then we got this picture. I don't know what I'm looking at. I think something is happening over there. And the caption says Yemen's Houthis likely launched missiles on UAE. Is this have we had this before? I don't remember. The Houthis attacking UAE?
No,
And the
this seems
Houthis
like
usually attack Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
yeah, new thing.
So here's a confirmation from the National Emergency Crisis Disaster Management Authority in the UAE, saying UAE air defense system detected a missile threat targeting the country. Please remain in a safe location and follow warnings and updates issued through official channels. This just happened, right? Minutes before we went live.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, right? Because this is in a confirmation of what we were saying before for a few weeks now, that the Islamic Republic is trying to make the war regional. They are about to escalate because they are suffocating under the under United States blockade and Operation Economic Fury. They're completely isolated, so they're trying to get out of this. So they're trying to increase tensions across the region as a way to break the isolation, and they want to get more countries involved. So getting the Houthis to attack the UAE seems to be incomplete in a confirmation of that being the new strategy. We knew this is going to happen when Mushtaba Khamenei's office picked Mohsen Rezai and replaced Zolgat in the National Security Council. We knew that they're going to go into this direction. What do you guys think about this?
My initial thought is that I hope the UAE learned their lesson to not pay the Islamic Republic for silence,
Right.
but also like I hope everyone's okay there. I'm really, and again, they're my favorite Gulf country, so
Persian
Persian
Gulf.
Gulf country on south on the south of the Persian Gulf.
Yes. Why are they, wait? But yeah, but this is their own. A lot of the drones and missiles that are coming to them were financed by the financial institutions that the UAE for years made available to the Islamic Republic. Like the funding for the drones and missiles that are hitting them was facilitated by the financial institutions designed by the UAE for the Islamic Republic to bypass the sanctions. So every single missile and drone that is coming to them, they themselves helped fund it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the scorpion and the frog.
Oh yes, exactly, like the scorpion and the frog story, and they didn't learn the lesson up until recently. They gave is it recently they gave the Islamic Republic $3 billion, right? Is that the do we know that to be the number? They as because and we heard about the report because we saw a UAE plane go from the UAE to Tehran. So that flight was being tracked, and a lot of people were saying that okay, they're paying the Islamic Republic to stop attacking them because the UAE was the main target of the Islamic Republic. During the way more than they attacked Israel. And then right after that flight, with a lot of people suspecting that this is probably a payment to the Islamic Republic, so they stop. A lot of those suspicions end up becoming more credible because right after that, then the Islamic Republic stopped attacking the UAE completely, almost completely, and was focusing on Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan. So people were like, yep, okay, we were right. That was a payment. And And now the strategy of paying the Islamic Republic seems not to be working, because look at this. You got a few weeks of not being, you give them, I don't know, a few $billions, and you only got a few weeks of not being bombed. Like if anybody was thinking like, okay, maybe we could go back to, sending tourists, maybe traveling to UAE, investing in UAE, because this was a temporary thing and now it's gone, and now UAE is safe again. They're gonna see like, no, it's on and off and on and off, and we can never trust. And especially given that this was not the Islamic Republic, it was the Houthis, the confidence in investments and tourism in UAE is going to drop like a rock, because people are going to think like, okay, UAE will never be safe, because even if the Islamic Republic is not attacking them, the Houthis might, and we don't know. Like we don't know what the risks are, so they're going to discount the future cash flows of any potential investment in the UAE at a much higher rate, which is completely going to reduce the value of any types of commerce, trade, investments in the UAE. So this is a huge attack on everything that makes the UAE the UAE.
I have a
Right up
question.
until the regime falls.
My question
Exactly.
is, could this have anything to do with Scott Bessent freezing funds at the UAE?
Yes.
Telling them, hey, I will
Oh.
lock you down across the planet, UAE, if you keep moving money to the Houthis, to Iran, to the IRGC, to anyone, to Hestel Shabi, to Hezbollah, to any of these people, because you think I'm not noticing and I'm noticing. Could that be playing here?
It's part of the general trend of the Islamic Republic getting more and more isolated because of Scotty B's methods, whatever he's doing, and the Islamic Republic just trying to lash out on everything and anybody, to be like, yeah, I'm not gonna just sit here and watch you guys.
Like I heard like 2
slowly
days
kill me.
ago that there was going to be a tightening down, like even hard of that. And now this,
Yes.
I don't know.
So the tightening harder, I heard by Scott Bessent, is not going to be because I think people don't understand how bad the situation, the isolation is already. So basically, Scotty B is right now tightening some screws, right? But most of what was supposed to be done to isolate the Islamic Republic has already been done, and it's more of a function of time for us to see the pain that the Islamic Republic is going to go through, rather than more isolation. The more isolation that Scotty B just added is just making sure that like there is no, like trying to make sure that there's no less loopholes, less ways to go around what already exists there. But what already exists there is enough, as long as they just keep, just maintain it. And just like, if they just maintain what they already have, most of the job has already been done. So, and this is the Islamic Republic is like, yeah, this is, I'm not going to be able to tolerate this.
Yeah, but I think the Houthis just lost a loophole. And that might be like, oh, you're cutting me off? Okay.
Right.
Well,
Sid, what do you think? Yeah.
Well, before I say that, I just wanted to understand what you meant by the loophole. That the monkey. What are you talking about? The Houthi loophole?
They
So-
use shell corporations, and they use a lot of like nebulous, like Bitcoin, or not necessarily Bitcoin, but different types of monetization. And they get around going through a bank, but sooner or later they found out where that money came from. And if they tell that bank, hey, you got to close this front, you got to close this fake company, this shell corporation, that's a loophole that gets cut.
All right. Okay, I got it. Yeah. So, I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for the UAE in this situation, or for all of the Arab states along the Gulf. I mean, this just seems like this is just
Persian Gulf.
Persian Gulf, the Persian
Yes.
Gulf. So do we have to say the Persian GCC?
Just don't worry.
PGCC.
This channel policy. PGCC.
channel policy. GCC is fine, but when you say but we have many Gulfs around the world, so when you say the Gulf, I'm like, which one you're talking about, right? So,
Okay, all right.
This is YouTube, so we have to keep it PG.
PG, right, PGCC.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't know, maybe you're talking about the Mexican Gulf. I don't know. So which one?
What Mexican Gulf?
There is no Mexican Gulf. I don't know.
There you go. See? There you go. See? You guys. Yes.
No.
it's the
Okay.
Americans.
All right. We'll talk about that
Right.
another time.
No, that's true. The American Gulf. I respect that. Okay.
So I have a lot of sympathy for them, because I mean this what the IR is doing right now is just classic mafia tactics, right? It's extortion, you know. So there's a nice country you got there, right? It'd be a shame if something happened to it, and this is the game that they've been playing for a long time. And so I think like basically what I'm saying is that, you know, it would be great if the UAE, I mean, if the UAE didn't cooperate with the IR economically or financially, right? But it's a small country in a dangerous neighborhood where there's like a mafioso regional power who is practicing extortion, threatening violence, and you know, I think the UAE has the leadership of the UAE has done a lot to signal its distancing from the IR ideologically, probably at some cost to them. So I admire them for that, but I also have some sympathy. I say that the other thing I would say is that can I call it the Gulf War, or do I have to say the Persian Gulf War?
Man, it's pretty easy to call it the Persian Gulf. I don't know why you guys.
No,
if you
don't
want to call it, it's fine.
I'm talking about the Gulf War. The Gulf War.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, man. I'm just gonna keep calling it the Persian. But if
now
it's
I'm
really
confused.
hard,
Do you mean the Iraq War?
Yeah. If you
'Cause
guys
we
want to,
usually call that the Gulf War.
if
Yeah,
this
the
is
Iraq
really
War.
difficult for you guys, call it whatever you guys want to call it. I'm just gonna call it the Persian Gulf War, the Persian Gulf. But yeah, whatever.
Okay, all right.
It's not that hard, you know. It's not really that hard. But go ahead.
No, I agree. It's not that hard, but there are certain instances where I would say, like intuitively, I would say the Gulf, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and the Gulf War. But I will learn my lesson. I'll practice it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So anyway, I think the attitude post-war in America was very much like we overinvested in the Middle East, and we didn't get much out of it. And Obama came. When Obama came, he sort of like signaled he wants to reset and pivot to Asia, and it put Persian Gulf allies in a difficult spot, right? It put them in a difficult spot because it's like, okay, look, you guys worry about your own security, and it's challenging. Countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Kuwait, they're blessed with resources, with energy, and with financial leverage, but they have very small populations, and they don't really have real militaries. So I think that if they succumbed to the extortion, it is understandable from that perspective.
Okay. All right. I do want to move on. So I think we covered this enough. I do want to move on to other stuff right away. Leo, thank you so much for the super chat saying, can we add Shock Pikachu face? What?
To Liberty Politics emojis.
Oh yeah, to Liberty Politics emojis. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Isn't there already? Oh no, it can't be because it would be copyright. Oh, wouldn't we get it like a trademark issue? Like is okay. I'll see. Okay, we have to be careful. But thank you, Leo. Fiddlewear 50 Fitness, thank you so much for the jewels. All right, let me just go this one, and let me play this. There was major tension in the White House between President Trump and a reporter. I don't know what this was about, but let me just play it and see what you guys think.
Mr. President, quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay?
Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news.
I
You're
just wanted
fake
to follow
news.
up on this up-
You're
yeah,
loud. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news.
I was
Be
trying
quiet.
to find out if
Be
you had
quiet.
been talking
Be
to
quiet.
Kim Jong-un, if he had asked you
You're a
to
fake
scale back
reporter, and you
all the
report fake
military
news.
exercises.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, did he ask
Wait, what? Can they do that? Can they just keep interrupting and talk like that? Like they can't kick them out? Like, what
They
is it?
can and
How
they
is this
should.
allowed?
They can kick. I mean,
This-
I think it can kick them out.
They can get kicked out, or they can interrupt. Mike, you said Mike.
Well, okay, they can't physically interrupt because no one's gonna put their hand over her mouth, but security can't escort her out, and she can be like making a show of it and being really loud all the way out. You know what I mean?
Wait. Sorry. I don't know why it was not pausing. Yeah, I just find it like it's crazy that I mean, I understand free speech and everything, but just coming in and just keep talking over him. I need to be quiet, and she's just like talking. I don't know. It's just like I think we're it's too far. Like if you're not gonna maintain order, then you shouldn't be allowed to be in here. Is that true? Am I like, making too? Am I exaggerating? Like CNN shouldn't be allowed to be here if when they're asking you to quiet, I'm talking to this other person. You keep talking over him. Look at this. He says be quiet, and she keeps talking. Look at this.
I don't hear now.
Wait, there's no sound.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I think you'll have to reshare.
I
You're
just wanted to
fake
follow
news.
up on this up-
You're
yeah,
loud. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news.
I was
Be
trying to
quiet.
find out if
Be
you had
quiet.
been talking
Be
to Kim
quiet.
Jong-un, if he had asked you
You're a
to
fake
scale back
reporter, and you
all the
report fake
military
news.
exercises.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, did he
She just keeps talking. Unbelievable. Anyways,
I think
if
she
you have
knows it's
any
the last
opinions on-
time she'll be there.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, reporters do this a lot. Like in press conferences, you try to speak over other people. Like at the end of press conferences, you have a lot of rabble that never gets addressed. I think that's just the nature of the job. Like you try to get him to be aggressive enough to get him to answer the question. That said, there is a limit. Like there is a point where it crosses the line.
So, I mean, I think, I would agree with Guy that this kind of the behavior of the reporter seems more or less like I would say common. I think what's uncommon is the way Trump responds. Like he responds in a way that's very different from other politicians. I know that there was a serious editing of the press pool. So it's like it had been sort of controlled by the mainstream media, and Trump's own like communications department made a concerted effort to change the lineup and to include more sort of independent and right-wing media in the pool. So I would say that I think that Trump also feeds on this a little bit. Like, so there's some political theater going on here where he enjoys the antagonistic relationship that he has with the media, and he thinks that it serves him. So, yeah, I mean, I guess like my reaction is this is probably more normal, more par for the course type of interaction, and I would also guess that that this particular reporter will not be reprimanded and will probably be there tomorrow.
I agree.
I want to steel man him a second because no one else was doing that at that point. Like when he's there, no one else is doing what she's doing. He has to tell her, please quiet. Hey, you know, like she is the single one. Like I think what's going on is some of them respect, hey, I wasn't chosen, I'm gonna shut up. And some of them insist on speaking over and like try to be picked after someone else gets picked. And that's what's going on, because it's one thing to say they all do this, but if you look at this particular instance, she's the only one that keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. So there is a marked difference from the everyday.
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly he's calling her out. So it's just right in this particular case, like she got under his skin.
No. She kept insisting and insisting, then he scolded her because she was the only one that kept talking. If you go back and you listen, she's the only voice that keeps going and keeps going. She tells her to stop, and then she keeps going. So it's not about her getting under his skin. It's about her not following the rules.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I think the rules are very loose. They're not really enforced. There's no like sort of law around it, and reporters are very aggressive, especially in press conferences like this. So, like what I heard from her was something that I would have heard in other press conferences. I'm not condoning it. This is sort of just a neutral, like this is not like a normative claim or anything, right?
It's a
I'm just
descriptive
saying
statement.
that. Yeah, I'm just saying that I've seen this kind of thing before.
This is the biggest news that everybody's talking about, the whole South Korea thing, right? So everybody's talking about this in a way that seems like this is one of the biggest shifts in, a civilizational shift, not just like a news. So as you guys know, President Trump mentioned that they're not going to be doing the same military drill that they did with South Korea at the same level, at least, and he wanted to cancel it completely, but it was too late. He mentioned that he likes Kim Jong-un, and they have a good relationship with him. And South Korea failed to support the United States in the war against the Islamic Republic. They weren't there for them. So a lot of people are talking about this. And let me just play what President Trump said here. And just to give the context, during the Obama and Biden time, there was a huge pivot to East Asia. And a lot of people assume that President Trump is going to continue that pivot to try to come out of spend less resources in the Middle East and focus on China's aggressions. And it seemed like originally, based on President Trump's picks, it seemed like that's exactly what he's going to do as well. But instead of doing that, President Trump seems to be more interested in pulling out of everywhere. And instead of leaving from the Middle East, he seems to be focusing a lot more on the Middle East to finish the job in the Middle East. And he seems to be more interested in the Dondro doctrine and focusing on, the Western Hemisphere and slowly trying to pull out of everywhere. And just recently, when the USS, George Washington, that was I think the last remaining main carrier strike group in the Pacific that is now coming to the Persian Gulf. And that means that there's nothing there anymore. Like there's nothing major is there around, the South China Sea, which makes a lot of countries like Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Vietnam very nervous that America doesn't have anything there anymore. But some people are saying this is actually a good thing. These countries need to become more self-reliant in defending themselves, and this is actually going to encourage a lot of defense pacts between these countries themselves. Like, for example, we know Japan is now working a lot with South Korea and the Philippines to come up with their own defense pacts. And this is exactly what President Trump wants to encourage. Just like he started the Abrahamic Accord, just like the new defense pacts are being now formed. The Mecca defense pact is being formed in the Middle East. Japan is also creating a new defense pact. And also Ukraine is buying from NATO rather than getting charity from United States. And this is exactly the trend that President Trump wants. Anyways, let me stop talking and see what President Trump says here, and then we'll see what you guys have to say.
Why hasn't Kim Jong-un responded to your request to have a conversation?
How do you know he hasn't responded?
Has he?
Yeah, he has.
Did you speak to
Where
him?
are you in conversation?
And very positive. Well, just so you understand with South Korea, look, South Korea has been protected by us for many, many years. And during my first term, they agreed to pay close to $3 billion a year for protection because they essentially weren't paying. And I asked them to do that at my request. I said, not right. They weren't happy about it, but they agreed. I asked for $10 billion, and they were very unhappy. But we agreed for a short term that it would be $3 billion, and next year it would go up, and the next year would go up. So they start paying for their protection. When the election was rigged, and I ended up watching for 4 years and then coming back, I watched Biden rescind that $3 billion a year for whatever reason. When I called recently, president of South Korea, who I like. I think he's very nice, actually. But I called him. I said, would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran. He said, no, thanks. And I said, wait a minute. We have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange. No, we'd rather not get involved. I say, well, why are we involved in helping you? So, and I want to help them, but you know, when you ask somebody, would you like to give us a hand? And they say, no, thanks. And then we're guarding them from a country and paying ourselves billions of dollars, costing us billions and billions of dollars to protect not only them, but other countries. Look at NATO. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars protecting Europe from Russia. Hundreds of billions, mostly from Russia, but from other things too. And then they say, well, they don't want to get involved with guarding the Strait, where they get most of their oil. They get 50% of their oil, and they don't want to get involved. Why are we doing it? So all I want is fairness. And South Korea, I get along with them very well, but they were paying $3 billion a year. And then they convinced Biden that I was probably a bad person and they shouldn't, and he immediately rescinded that order. So we were getting paid. We would have been getting paid a lot more, but we can't go around and protect all of these countries, especially when they're not there to help us.
Thoughts?
So I have a couple of thoughts. Sorry. One, we have to take into account the recent change in governance in South Korea, which is way more of a socialist government now, and actually not as aligned with the West as you would want. In that case, well, okay, so like we don't owe you protection. Another thing is that Trump has calling cards in his diplomacy. One, never attack the person. Always, I'm great friends with the person. I love the person personally, but ... And the other is to use a big stick. I don't think that this is the end. Like, this is not the final decision. This is a part of the negotiations that Trump uses. Like, he uses tariffs. Like, he puts tariffs on people and then immediately rescinds them. He was going to take 20% from the Gulf and then eventually ended up doing something else. This is the this is the starting offer to get them where he actually wants them to be. And they need to understand, this government, this relatively anti-Western government, that like, we could just stop protecting you. We could. Hopefully we're not going to, but we could just do that. Like, that's an option that we have that's on the table, and you need to take that into account with regards to how you treat us and deal with us. This is something that I think Netanyahu does really well in dealing with Trump and with America in general. And like, he knows to be forceful in places where he has to, where he has no other choice, while also giving up things that he's able to show goodwill to the Americans. And I think Europe and a lot of the people who have mooched off of America for a long time have become spoiled. And they need a kick in the ass. And I think, like, if this is the end of whatever this is, then that's not good, because you do want to keep Taiwan, like, for the West's own self-interest, if nothing else. You want to keep Taiwan protected. I just don't think that this can be judged as a final step. And another thing, I do think the strategic ambiguity about Taiwan is still in place. They're not going to allow Taiwan to be attacked, but they're not going to say explicitly, we're going to fight. Like, the doctrine is strategic ambiguity. Yeah. The only real partner that they have right now in the East is Japan. This is something Jose and I had a conversation about this in the stream that I just finished before coming here. Subscribe to the channel, by the way, link in the description.
Links in. Yeah, guys, links to Guys and Monkey's channel are in the description. Go on.
Like, right now, the only real ally that the U.S. has in the East is Japan. And Japan has also been appropriately bolstering up their military, which up until recently they were not allowed to have as a consequence of World War II. But the area needs a, like, Trump is shaking the box, I think, and to create better conditions, and for South Korea to align, like, they have to stop assuming that they hold the cards and that they have the power, because they don't have either. And the US doesn't owe you anything, and you need to pull your own weight as part of this alliance that nevertheless should stay existing.
Makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people underestimate how much leverage the United States has, because there are a lot of people on the other side that are saying, like, oh, this is going to make our allies not work with us anymore. We're going to lose our leverage. I think people underestimate the dependency on the U.S. military for security by a lot of these countries. But said Monkey, do you guys want to?
Yeah, like U.S. has a lot of allies in the Indo-Pacific. I can list 17 that are on joint operations in RIMPAC, 30 nations, 30,000 personnel, 30 ships, 5 submarines, 190 aircraft trained under the U.S.-led exercises. Balikan 2026. This is all 2026. 17,000 troops, U.S., Philippines, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, France. I don't know what they were doing over there, but they were over there. I think they have some territories or something over there. Cobra Gold. This was also in 2026. Thailand, Indonesia, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, and South Korea. Like, he just pulled out of this after they have been doing this together all year, like up until now. Like, they have had a whole bunch of joint operations. He just pulled out at the last one and said, hey, you didn't help during Iran. You haven't helped us with Iran. I think it's about that. I don't think it's about wanting to pull out, because he's not pulling out of any other nations. And I have like 17 nations here: Japan, Philippines, Australia, India, South Korea, because they just did a whole bunch of exercises together. He just pulled out of this last one. Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, New Zealand, Brunei, Bangladesh, Mongolia, Papua New Guinea, Sri Lanka, Tonga. Like, we are up in there. Like, to say that we're isolation, like we don't got any other allies there and we're isolating and we're going with the Donroe Doctrine and fuck everybody else, that goes completely against what Heg said. We reported on this. We showed them all together on stage. RIMPAC, remember? We had we did a whole show on, well, not a whole show, but a large segment on it. Like, we're not pulling out. This is precisely about punishing any nation that does not help with Iran. That's why he also mentioned NATO, because NATO has nothing to do with this.
Sid?
Yeah, a lot to say here. I mean, I think so. I'll just say, to start off with, when I hear Trump saying this, it hurts me. Like, it bothers me. Okay, I think that like, you all made great points about justifying why, and it also, so it bothers me because I guess, like, I have an emotional attachment to American military dominance, right? And Trump is not very diplomatic. He's not a great diplomat. Okay, so the way that he words things, it's like, it's not my favorite, right? I would like more, at least a public encouragement rather than scolding. But I would say that, like, we are in a changing global security landscape, and I think that Trump's moves, even this kind of impolitic language, it does make sense in this changing security landscape. We're in a situation where we are, we have deficit spending, we have a growing national debt. A good portion of that is spent on national defense and global security. And then on the other hand, we have countries that are benefiting from our security umbrella, countries like Western Europe and Korea is a great example of countries that are extremely prosperous. They're very prosperous countries, and they benefited quite a bit from the American security umbrella. And then they elect sort of anti-American leadership, right? And then you say, oh, why? Like, why should we be invested in their security? It's not that they can't afford it, right? It's not that they can't afford to do more. And I just want to put a pin right here and just talk about all the talk about Israel bleeding us dry and the amount that we're spending on Israel. I mean, it's just what we're spending on Israel is peanuts compared to what we are spending on Korean security or on NATO, right? Or even on Turkey. I mean, it's just peanuts. Okay, so that is it's a bullshit argument. Anytime you hear that, your antenna should go off, right? Your antenna should go off because it's nonsense. Okay, so I mean, the other thing is that, like, actually, it's not just that. I mean, in the case of Europe, it's a little different. In the case of Korea, they are actually quite militarily capable. So I think it's a top 5 ranked conventional military. They have a lot of troops. Yeah, right. Leo asked about that earlier. So yes, so it's a quite competent, well armed, well funded military with a lot of troops, and of course you can understand why. I think one of the challenges for Korea is for South Korea, that is that not only do they have not only they have been part of the Western Bloc, so that there's a natural tension between them and China and North Korea, but they also have a tension with Japan, right, who is ostensibly a Western ally, but because of their own complicated history, the Koreans and the Japanese have a kind of a distrust of each other, right? So if you start to look at it on the map, you see that, like, Korea, it does feel very threatened from all corners, and that's the reason why they've done a lot of military buildup. But so anyway, so that they are carrying their weight in many respects. Like, they're really investing heavily in their own security, which is good. But I do resent the anti-American sentiment coming out of countries that have benefited greatly from our security, our protection.
So let me actually say something, because Bobosm gave us a super chat saying ungrateful South Koreans. I don't know about the government, maybe the government, I don't know. But the South Korean people are very pro-America. And recent polls suggest that they recognize how much their friendship with the United States is essential for their security. So I don't know if there is much anti-Americanism in South Korea among the people. I don't know about the government, though. But maybe Bobasm is referring to the government.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know what the polling is. I mean, what I've heard, and this is something that we ought to look into. I mean, I think it's a very interesting kind of part of the world that's heating up. So it's worth investigating further. But the government is a kind of like socialist, and has been signaling more friendliness to China and so on. So
somebody's saying South Koreans are not pro-America. Go there and talk to the locals. I don't. I'd rather look at polls. Maybe the polls were incorrect. Going there and talking to people is a very ineffective and flawed way of collecting data. If you don't trust the polls, you tell me, like, maybe I'd looked at the wrong polls, but this is your method of collecting data is one of the most flawed ways of collecting information. But go on.
Yeah, but I think that the point that you're making, Armin, that we have to distinguish between governments and people is an important one. And so sometimes we'll just say things like Korea or Japan, and these are very complicated places with a lot of people with a lot of different opinions. Like, just because I spent 30 years living in New York City, and I saw Zoran Mamdani get elected, and I know that Mamdani doesn't represent all of New York, and in fact, I think that his sort of victory really oversells the degree to which he represents the city. Like, he's somebody that triggers me, and I kind of hate looking at him, hate hearing from him. But I'm not going to condemn the city, based on just him and his supporters. So even in a democratic process, one of the things that we're dealing with is that the left is very good at organizing. And so in the process,
last point because I want to make sure we get to more stuff. But go on.
Okay, so yeah, so anyway, so the point is that because they're good at organizing, they're often able to gain power in a democratic system without strong democratic support, or they are often able to get power disproportionate to their support.
Can I
got
just
another
can I just
super
say
chat.
one thing? They had 117 precincts who had their turnout data pre-inscribed. There's a lot of things about the socialist takeover that's very fishy.
All right, we're derailing the topic. That was not the topic, but let me just we got a super chat from Bob
The
saying they are
socialist
so
government was
obnoxious.
the topic.
No, okay, I'm reading a super chat. Okay, so we were talking about Ukraine, and when I'm reading a super chat, don't interrupt me, please. Bob, thank you so much for your super chat. Saying he's talking about the previous video that we were playing regarding the reporters being obnoxious. Bob is saying they are so obnoxious now. They no longer have respect for the president of the United States of America. I mean, they don't. I don't think it's required to have respect, but it's America. You're free not to have respect for your president. But they are supposed to maintain order. Like, you are a guest in this house. Follow the rules or get the hell out of here. Right? That is a requirement. It's not a violation of your free speech if you get kicked out of an area because you're violating the order in that area. But yeah, I don't think respecting the president is required, but respecting the order should be required. But I see your point, Bob. And who started these comments? Okay, no, we're not. We're gonna do that later.
Okay.
We're gonna do Mamdani later, right?
All right.
Because we're still on the Ukraine stuff. But let's because I'm gonna respond to this. Because this is the main news everybody's talking about. Who is this guy? You guys know him? This guy is Adam Kinzinger. Am I pronouncing it right? But he's a big deal apparently. Former GOP congressman. So this video.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
You remember him? Okay, so this video went viral. Let's listen to him.
Guys, this is genuinely insane. So Trump just announced out of nowhere seemingly that we are suspending exercises with South Korea because of his, quote, really good relationship with Kim Jong-un. And then he made the point that South Korea didn't participate in the Iran war. Now, I'd also like to remind you at this moment that North Korea has been supplying Russia with ballistic missiles to strike Ukraine. They've sent 50,000 soldiers to fight and are sending, by some reports, up to 60,000 soldiers now to fight against Ukraine. They have nuclear weapons. They continue to threaten South Korea. And now Donald Trump claims he has a really good relationship. And really, he's throwing a hissy fit because they didn't participate in this stupid war in Iran that's drained us of our resources. This is idiocy. This is generational damage to America's reputation. If you don't want nukes in the world, then you don't do this. Because South Korea, Japan now, and our allies in Asia will be trying to get nukes because they no longer believe that the U.S.'s word is worth anything. And I don't blame them, honestly. This is absolutely bananas. And where are the Republicans? You know what? A couple will speak out, the ones that aren't running again, but they'll say Donald Trump is getting bad advice from somebody. But let's just think about this. If this was Obama or this was Biden that made this announcement, what would the Republicans, what would Fox News be doing? It would be going rightly apoplectic and bananas. When will people speak out? The harm that is being done is going to cost your kids and my kids everything, because they're going to have to go fight these wars because we allowed a bozo psychopath to be president of the United States without Congress or anybody pushing back. If you think this is bad, just wait till whatever cockamamie plan he comes up with next. Guys.
Yeah, so I mean, the simple comeback is encouraging more countries to spend more of their GDP and their military is not going to cause more wars. It's going to cause less wars. What would you guys think?
I think that if the alternative is the U.S. has to keep paying countries to not have nukes, like bribing countries to not have nukes, that's not sustainable. But now I do have some sympathy to some of what he's saying. Like this approach is very undiplomatic, and I agree that Trump is not a diplomatic person. He's not a diplomatic president. That's not his goal at the moment. This reminds me, so in Jewish tradition, like there's a distinction between, you need the person who does the wrecking before you have the person who does the rebuilding. So you have King David. The reason he didn't build the temple is because his job was to do the fighting and the wrecking. But because he did that, King Solomon was then able to construct the temple. So Trump's role is to break a bunch of stuff and do it as undiplomatically as possible, because I think it's necessary for U.S. deterrence. U.S. deterrence is not just against U.S.'s enemies; it's also against U.S.'s allies, in the sense that don't take us for granted. I think it's important that countries stop taking U.S. for granted and U.S. Led order for granted, because it could disappear, and you need someone who's willing to say it, to be a good poker player and a good deal maker that would actually put on the table the option of, oh, we're just gonna stop supporting you then. For them, like, it's good that they'll think that they have to be self-sufficient, and that whatever U.S. backing they have is provisional. It's not just there, and you can just ignore military spending in your budgets, which is what NATO did, and then invest everything into welfare and so on, and then you have to import people, and that's how you got into this mess in the first place. You have to be self-sufficient as a country, and not rely on handouts. And I think, and I hope, so if, let's say, Trump does this term, he reshapes the world. Hopefully, we get President Rubio next, and President Rubio will be able to recreate the actual strong diplomacy that will then be possible through the wreckage of the things that the bad structures that Trump destroyed. But I do agree that this is undiplomatic. I don't think they're just going to, okay, well, then we're going to build nukes. I don't think that's there are several steps before then. There is a risk involved in what Trump is doing, I think, is what I'm saying in terms of what I agree with. There is a risk, but I think it's a necessary risk for America to not be like the country that the whole world leeches off of.
Okay,
I think
monkeys.
there's a false equivalence between being nice and being diplomatic. You don't have to be nice to be diplomatic. Sometimes part of diplomacy is go fuck yourself, right? Like this thing, oh, he's not diplomatic. Why? Because he didn't use soft words. He didn't use flowery purple language, so it wasn't nice. No, the type of diplomacy that's going on here is, hey, you better pay me. And if you don't pay me, you're going to be alone. I got a lot of friends. I might just make friends with your fucking enemy if you don't got that money. So you better have my fucking money. And as far as your cheated fucking socialist piece of shit stolen election, you better fix your shit. Sometimes that's diplomacy too.
Yeah, so it's probably not really much of a surprise, but I guess I'm more in line with Guy on this. I do think that we're in a kind of a populist moment. So our politics, and this is not just in the U.S. but around the world, our politics are being impacted by a real frustration of the status quo, which was historically quite a peaceful and prosperous period, but there was still a lot of frustration, and so like I'm reminded of this speech that I think it was Mark Carney gave at the World Economic Forum, talking about how the post-war order was a myth, and like we were just giving it lip service, but it was never really true. And I think that what I'm hearing from Kinzinger is that he was a believer. He was a true believer in the myth. And I was, right. I admit to myself being a true believer in the myth, right. That America's America's foreign policy is built on values and moral commitments rather than a national interest. And the problem is that, like, okay, I think that values are important, but interests are also important. And what we can't do is we can't sacrifice our interests for our values, right? We can't just continue to sort of deficit spend in order to, to advance values. It has to be sustainable. And so, but the problem is that, like, nobody was willing to confront that. So what we got in Trump is we got somebody willing to confront it, and he does it in a very sort of reckless way. He uses reckless language, which I think can be very alienating. It's alienating for people like Kinzinger, who are believers in the myth, and it's alienating for foreign governments as well. But it probably has to happen. I would still prefer that it happen with other language. But the situation is that we had structures that were unsustainable, and the question is, who is going to be willing to do it? And I think my suspicion is, this is total counterfactual. My suspicion is that it wasn't going to come from somebody who didn't have the sort of reckless abandon that Trump does.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting points from both sides. All right, let's go to you. I saw you start some comments. Do you want to? I don't know who started.
Yeah,
Whoever started.
I
Do you
did.
want to quickly respond to them? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So Jodo is saying, fun fact, the Talmud is a bestseller in South Korea. Even the government insists it is good for you and has included it on the curriculum for primary school children. Look it up. So this is partially true. They have stuff that's, I think, based on the Talmud. Like, it's not literally just the Talmud, because partially the Talmud is like enormous. That's like several, like dozens of volumes. But the
short answers each. Short answers each.
Okay. The underlying point is true. They do learn a lot. They do value Jewish wisdom, and they do have things that are derived from the Talmud. And yet they don't think we're all PDF files. Look at that. Look, interesting how actually, if you actually look at stuff from the Talmud, it's not actually leading there. And very quickly, sorry guy, Bobo is saying, sorry guy, but Rubio supports Vance. This is more than a year old at this point, and that was at the point where Vance was the heir apparent. And it was like very uncontested. Since then, there has been a groundswell of Rubio support, and if this was true and it's already a done deal, then Trump would not constantly be talking to donors asking whom do they prefer, Rubio or Vance. So it's true, but it's outdated.
Two other comments started.
That's from earlier. That's about Mamdani.
I mean,
That's
it's
not me.
okay. Between topics, we could quickly. Monkey, you want to quickly respond to these? These are your you start these comments quickly, or no? Okay,
I think I did.
I didn't start that.
But we can skip it.
Okay, let's skip them. All right, so look at this craziness here. Let me actually read the caption. Saying holy shit. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Kenisha Daly, a special ed teacher at the school in California, posted a video saying she's starting a black militia to rob some white people. She also has other videos saying it's powerful to fight against ICE and supports the revolution. Kenisha is now under police investigation and is banned from school grounds. This person was in charge of teaching children. I don't know how prevalent this type of views are. I just wanted to see in America. Is this just anecdotal, or is this a growing thing in the United States? Let me just play it.
Starting today, I'm starting a black.
Let me actually go back here.
Starting today, I'm starting a black militia. So if you're black, if you want to shoot some guns, come find me. We're gonna rob some white people. And I see that people are fighting back against ICE, and I believe that is powerful. I know that people want a revolution. They want things to change, and I support that. So if you're calling for a revolution, I support that. But just look at history and know what could be at stake.
So this person was stupid enough to record it and put it online. So I'm wondering, for every person that is that dumb, how many people are thinking this, but are at least smart enough not to post it online? Is this a growing problem in the United States, or is it being exaggerated?
I don't know if we have time for it. I would suggest a poll and we'll just look at it later. Most of the people that have kids here that have to send their kids to school know that this is the norm. It's harder to find a teacher that doesn't believe this. The teachers are infected and infested with these commies. And even at the college level where I'm dealing with them, they're not this overt, especially here where I live, but this is everywhere. And if you ask around, like if you do polls, if you like to ask AI, it's gonna tell you the same thing.
Well, doesn't that mean like the future of America is like, are we like, some people think outside of America that America's falling if this is growing, and this is how the children are being indoctrinated, the security of the security guarantor of the whole world is falling to the most garbage ideas in the world. Doesn't that mean, like, aren't you, is that exaggerated? Are you pessimistic about the future of America? Like, if these people, if this trend continues, are we going to see the fall of democracy in the United States and eventually the rest of the world if this keeps growing? Like, I'm just considering the worst case scenario. Yes. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. If they don't start arresting these people, if they don't start urging these people, if the rights keeps being a bunch of fucking pussies instead of banning this shit, we will all wind up in a fucking gulag because these pussy Republicans aren't putting these people in jail. These pussy fucking district attorneys aren't putting these people in jail because this is New York. But I assure you, you will find like things like this in Texas. You will find this like things like this in Florida. Because the district attorneys, the prosecutors are not putting these people in jail. The school districts are not firing these people, and everything to do with both academia and all you academics that are exceptional in here, try to not take it personal like you always fucking do. Academia and education is infected with these fucking commies, and they don't have kids, they have your kids.
Guy, Sid, thoughts?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not in America, so I can say what I see online, but
okay. I mean, you don't have to be America to have an opinion about this, but okay.
No, I'm saying you asked how prevalent this is. Like, I would not know. I see a lot of it online, but that's not actually data.
But I don't know how that's relevant because people who are in America don't know how prevalent this is. I rely more on data rather than your lived experience, your environment. Like, we could look up this information, can't we? You don't have to live in America to know this.
I don't think they run polls of like, do you indoctrinate young people for communism? And then they say yes.
Yep. That's not what I meant. Okay, that's a straw man. I'm just saying, like,
no, it's I mean, I know it's a joke.
Yeah, so okay, that's a misrepresentation. I'm saying there are polls that shows whether people are radical or not. So how radical people
yeah.
are. Yeah. But Sid was going to say something. Go on, Sid.
Yeah. So there's a few things to pull apart here. One is that what Muggy was talking about is that the education, the American education system, education as a discipline, I think has been infiltrated to quite a dangerous degree. So I think in a lot of sort of education programs, education grad school programs, the default is a sort of revolutionary Marxist lens. And I think a lot of then teachers are encouraged to take their revolutionary Marxism to the classroom, even to, elementary schools. So that's one thing. It's really troubling. And it's at risk of repeating myself again. Like, this is a decades long process, right? The long march through the institutions. So the left had got a foothold in the academy, and they've been able to sort of infiltrate more and more departments and create a sort of like ideological test for participation. And even, so like I've seen many examples of this, about people who don't sort of don't share the revolutionary Marxist ideology, butting up against their own professors, and oftentimes like getting sort of discouraged from pursuing their degrees, or getting marked down, getting worse grades because of ideological disagreement. So like this is all very illiberal. Is extremely illiberal, but there is a sort of it is impacting the training program for education. So that's one thing, okay. And it's what I'm saying is I don't think it's an easy fix. It's a sort of we're at a diagnosis phase right now, and we have to sort of figure out how we're going to rebuild the institutions, or get new institutions, or really rethink education. And there are possibilities for that, but it's not an easy job. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to say is that this particular woman, you said yourself, Armin, that like she was dumb enough to video it, right? She was dumb enough to broadcast this, and yeah, part of it is I actually don't know if it's dumb in the sense that actually there's a lot of social rewards. So what she's saying, right? What she's saying is like, okay, I want to start a militia. I want to rob white people or whatever. What I think that's what she was saying. I want to shoot guns and so on. This is a race specific militia, right? So I'm looking for black people to shoot guns and rob white people. That's what she said. So she's explicitly racist, explicitly violent, explicitly extrajudicial. And then now she's broadcasting it, right? So the thing is that she can do this because she doesn't think there's going to be any repercussion, right? No professional repercussion, no social repercussion, because this is her milieu. She's not the only one. There are many people who do this, and there's layers and layers of people who will defend it. Okay, and so that's a huge problem, and I think that it's so. But the other side of it, like the flip side of it, is that it also reveals that it's not serious. This is a kind of a social media performance art. She is posturing. I mean, I'm guessing. Okay, I may be wrong, but I'm guessing that this is a kind of a social media performance art. She's posturing, and she knows that she's going to get rewarded for this, and she's going to get even rewarded by white people. Okay, there's a lot of white people are going to look at this and be like, "Yeah, that's cool." And the reason why is because it's sorry.
Let me read this to you. Look at this. Scientific polling indicates severe and growing ideological polarization across the United States. Data from the late 2025 shows a significant historical surge in left-wing extremism and anti-government incidents. Left-wing violent plots mathematically surpassed far-right incidents in the early months of 2025. Meanwhile, the political right saw a massive shift among young men following the 2024 elections. Overall, both sides exhibit record high mutual hatred and effective polarization in daily social interactions. So that's what.
Can I talk about like the students themselves? Because right now I'm seeing just the numbers. Districts defending DEI in K through 12, like diversity, equity, inclusion, like, oppression, like white people are oppressive and all this. 14 million students, 14.6 million. That's 14,600,000. Districts documented policies allowing and encourage concealment of transgender, like letting students change how they dress to women, maybe taking hormones and not telling the parents. That's 12,380,000. District documented using retroactive justice disciplinary practices, punishing white kids because of slavery. That's retroactive justice disciplinary practice. That's 19 million students at 100,000, 19,100,000 students. This is all over America. We're talking K through 12.
So
Okay.
I have one anecdote that I wanted to share because it's fresh in my mind right now. But I remember listening to an interview with a former teacher, who wrote an essay about the sort of ideological capture of his school and education in general. and ultimately was sort of like forced out of his teaching position, which he loved. So at one point he was asked, like, in this interview, he was asked, like, so, like, do people believe this? Like, are students absorbing this ideological indoctrination? And he said that he had actually asked his students, because many of his students were really not on board, the indoctrination. And so again, this is super, this is secondhand information, third-hand information, and totally unscientific. But he reported that he thinks that, well, when he asked his students, they said that 80% of the boys and 50% of the girls are totally dismissing this indoctrination. Okay, so, and then
that is horrible. Only 80% and only 50%.
Well,
that is horrible numbers.
No, no, but I think there's something important here. I mean, yes, I would love it to be much, much higher. Okay, so I'm not disputing that, but there's something important here. So I think as schools become indoctrination factories, they also become extremely boring. Okay, they become extremely boring when you are expected to always echo a particular ideological line. Then it's just not engaging. And I think that there is.
I don't know. I actually think extremism is very more fun to young kids than the status quo.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's actually I think young kids, like, especially in teen years, they love rebellion. They love revolutionary language.
No, but this is not rebellion. This is if we're saying that the school is taken over by a particular ideology, then it's no longer rebellious. It's conformist.
Yeah, but I mean, to them, the narrative of us fighting against evil, fighting against Western imperialism or global Zionism, it sounds, or white supremacy. That's that sells. That sells.
No, I don't dispute that it sells, but I do think that look, and I want to say I don't dispute that it sells, and I'm deeply troubled by it, and I think that the potential impact is huge. Okay, so I don't want to dismiss any of that, but I do think that there are some internal limits to this kind of ideological indoctrination. And
you're trying to give us hope they do buck back.
Well, no, I will say, like, we can't just wait around, right, for this to fail, these projects to fail. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm suggesting that our opponents have
last thought, I want to ask Guy.
to...
Guy has been waiting for a long time. So last thought before I'm going to ask Guy something, but go on.
I'm suggesting that our opponents, our political opponents, have weaknesses, and we need to learn to exploit them. That's it.
All right, Guy, aren't you, as an Israeli, because my guess is that she's not a big fan of Israel. I think that's safe to say.
I think that's a fair guess.
Right. Are Israelis nervous looking at United States and thinking United States is turning, like, this is the future of United States, and they're not gonna, and they're vulnerable in the Middle East with all their enemies surrounding them, if this is the future of United States? Is that something that people in Israel think about?
Absolutely. And it's something I personally think about. There are problems with the US that make me think that in like a generation or two, if it moves in the same direction, which I hope it doesn't, like, trends that are bad have, like, they end. There's Scott Adams has the Adams law of slow moving disasters. When you have a slow moving disaster, it's probably going to get fixed. You shouldn't expect it to stay linear. But having said that, if this continues, then you're just not going to have an American empire. It's going, like, the project is going to become much weaker than what it is right now, and the world is going to have to learn to deal with itself. Now, having said that, is this an existential threat to me as an Israeli? Not really. Partially because Israel has started disentangling from America. We have our alliance with the rising power India. We have other alliances. We're a net exporter of weaponry. We have the most innovative weaponry in the world, especially defensively. That's also going to be very easy to maintain. So because this is something that's going to take like a generation, Israel is going to prepare accordingly. And hopefully, presumably Iran will be free by then. Then we'll have our regional alliance that's very powerful. And as you know, I'm a friend of the Lion Alliance, which is Israel, India, Iran. And I think that actually has enough power to be a superpower as an alliance, if everything goes well. But I fear for America because America is a force for good in the world, and I want America to succeed for the world's sake. But there are problems, deep, entrenched problems in American society that are caused by like its democracy being taken advantage of by the enemies of democracy, like because the democracy works because it relies on the populace. But if you manage to infiltrate and brainwash the populace, then that's much worse. Now, you do have forces that are counteracting that. You have like TikTok, the American TikTok algorithm is being saved by the Ellisons, and other people like Oracle and other people have managed to take TikTok and make it less pro-commie and less like pushing CCP narratives. You also have a battle that's going on for media. So you have the right, but you also now have sensible people who are starting to get into the media game, who are trying to restore media to actually being media and not brainwashing. And so there is a fight, and it's ongoing. And I wouldn't count out like a counteraction. But this is a worry to Israel. And by the way, Israel didn't have American help until after the 6-Day War in 1967. And so Israel is very capable of taking care of its own situation. It's just we're now hedging in a way that, assuming the worst happens and America falls, that we will still nevertheless be okay.
Yeah. So what I would say, just strictly from an American perspective, is that I think America is absolutely worth fighting for. And America has many things, many advantages, many opportunities, many things to be proud of, many things to be optimistic about. But we have a soft underbelly, which is the sort of intellectual class, and that intellectual class has been corrupted through a decades-long campaign. And this is a real challenge. But America is not the only country with challenges. Okay, there are challenges everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's challenges. All of our strategic competitors have challenges, and I would argue that many of them have worse challenges. But this is a big one, and I feel like actually this is sort of like it's become something really personal for me, because I think that Americans have been demoralized by this, and that's the intent. The intent of this project was to demoralize Americans, to make them feel ashamed of their history, and to feel to lose confidence in the future. And it's built on so many lies and so many lies of omission. We have to break that down, and we have to convince Americans to buy into the project again, because it's a project worth buying into. So I'll stop there, because I'll stop there.
All right, thank you. And we got a super chat from Nechama. And it's about, oh, there you go, I got it. It's about the monkey. So, Monkey, do you want to read this?
Yes, Monkey. Thank you, Nakama. Monkey's 100% correct. America is barreling down the wrong path. People don't start getting fired, prosecuted, and cut all foreign for if people don't start getting fired, prosecuting, and cut all foreign funding, just on that, CARE is the organization that funded that New Jersey kids blame 9/11 on America, like it's their own fault that happened. In New York City, there's Middle East Teachers Alliance. liberated ethnic studies organizations. These are the people paying those school districts to indoctrinate the kids. There's the Arab Resources and Organization Center. This isn't just organic. These teachers are getting paid.
Okay. And thank you, Nahama. And then we got another. Yeah, guys, we'll read all the super chats. So thank you for the super chats. You start a comment. Who started a comment by Jose?
I did. I thought it would be like it's a relevant piece of data. In Spain, almost 98% of males under 35 have gone from the left to the right, and the same age bracket in women is at 60-ish%. So Sid's numbers make sense to me.
Thanks,
A
Jose.
little bit of hope.
Yeah, I'm actually very optimistic about the future of America because I think that the fundamentals are good, and we get swings like this all the time in the United States, and makes people think like everything is going to crap. But United States has such strong fundamentals, and I might be a bit too much of an economic essentialist, but not like a commie, more like a capitalist. And I think like if you look at the fundamentals, United States is set to become so much more prosperous, and you'll be surprised how many of these problems gets fixed because of higher prosperity. But I might be too optimistic. But I do believe in the future of America.
Yeah. Do I have time to jump in on that?
Yeah, just quickly because I want to go to this next video. Yeah.
Okay, so let me skip it because I don't think I could do it quickly.
I want to clarify something that came up in the chat. So someone said this coming from the guy who said he would vote for Shapiro over Vance. Yes, but like Shapiro is pretty much the only Democrat I would vote for over Vance. So, and specifically because he is not part of this demoralization campaign. I think actually Vance is a bit more of a demoralizer than Josh Shapiro. And so that's why I would support him. But I mean, that doesn't. People seem to think that implies something that it doesn't.
Aren't they trying to kick him out?
Usually, I start a comment. Usually, we don't read comments from Jew haters unless they pay this Zionist channel. But I think this is so good because this Jew hater who like aggressively is pro-Islam and anti-Jewish is saying
And IRGC,
God
pro
bless.
IRGC as well.
I'm pro IRGC. Yeah, pro IRGC keeps putting IRGC hearts. It's saying God bless Mamdani. I'm so glad you're saying that, guys. Look at the type of people who support Mamdani. The person who supports the Islamic Republic that keeps putting hearts next to IRGC supports Mamdani. Thank you so much for putting that in the chat. It's good to show people that. Yeah. Oh, and we also got 50 over 50 fitness. Thank you so much for the Jules. Appreciate the support. Thank you. All right. So I wanted to, because we did too much America, and the Israeli here is like, I'm not American. What are we talking about? So I'm going to do an Israel. So I'm going to do an Israel related one for Guy. Oh, he's not even noticing what I'm saying. Okay. So
No, I noticed. Just no selling it.
This was on. I was okay. So this was on Fox News, and it's about Israel. I don't know who this guy is. He's running for Congress. Is he right leaning? Oh, Democrat for Congress. So look at, and this got 18,000 likes, almost 500,000 views. So we wanted to like. It's interesting that this is recent and got a lot of attention. So I just wanted to see. Oh, this is in Florida. Okay, let's see what he's saying.
Israel is committing a genocide in
That's
Gaza.
incorrect. That is factually incorrect.
It has
That's
been regarded
propaganda.
by the United Nations and Amnesty International and even Israeli human rights organizations, including B'Tselem. There's
The
a number
definition of genocide in the UN, the UN has said this, does not apply to what many people might think as a disproportionate wartime action. That's what that is in many people's minds. Genocide is a very specific thing. Actually, genocide being committed against Jewish people, not by Israel. And that's just a fact.
I mean, the United Nations recently in Geneva found that the IDF had deliberately targeted women and children. There's been famine conditions imposed over the Gaza Strip by the blockading of aid entering the Strip. There's been indiscriminate bombing of hospitals, of mosques, of churches, of...
Again, I'm going to have to stop you as that is factually not correct. But I hear you talking about something very important to a lot of people, and certainly who think that way. But as a congressman, and I'm being told we have to wrap. But as a congressman for District 25, I'm hoping your viewers will be able to hear you flesh that out a little more, as well as the Medicare for All and universal education. And we'll see you on the other side of Tuesday. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me, Glenna.
So obviously the part that said like we ran out of time, a lot of people are pointing to that, like, oh yeah, see, you couldn't handle it, that's why you ran out of time. You silenced him. He was basically dropping truth bombs and you couldn't handle it. Guy, how would you respond to this? Before
I think this is the best response. He reads the headlines. Yes. Like this is all, oh, look at all that. A lot of it was CNN reports based on sort of like, what's the source? This is bullshit. This is all low information, low level of analysis bullshit. Like there are, unfortunately, human rights organizations in Israel that are so deranged about their own government that agree with this. There was, I think, a B'Tselem report that is called "Our Genocide." It's just that the data doesn't bear it out, and we've seen the data. I've shown you the graph, and by the way, I made it easier to get to. All right, I won't do it now. But like, if you actually look at the data of the number of deaths, even if you take a very conservative analysis of how many of those are combatants, this is just at the least a relatively decently fought war in terms of combatants to civilians ratio. And at the more likely scenario, it's insanely unprecedentedly great at protecting civilians. And to the point where actual military academies invite Israel on to explain about the war and how they managed to avoid the civilian casualties. Like posting this video and superimposing clips of news headlines that you saw is not actually data. Just to be clear to this moron. But yes, make your entire campaign about Israel, please. I'm sure all Americans really care about that as their main topic.
Isn't it like right now a winning strategy though? Like it seemed like it's working out for them for getting a lot of.
So this is someone who has an illness. Look at she's more thin than her mother. Like, is her mother not feeding the child? Is the mother preferring herself over the child?
This was proven to be an illness. Like this was investigated because we don't see this in Gaza unless you're ill. We do see this in Yemen and in Sudan, and we don't see these people talk about it, right? Like we do see a lot of this in Yemen and in Sudan, and we don't see any outrage regarding that. We don't see this in Gaza unless somebody is ill. And you're right, like the mom is not like that. Is she not feeding her child? This is a sickness. She's not, it's not because of famine-like situation.
Look, I only disagree on one point. I don't think he just reads the headlines. I think he knows he's lying, but he's a politician. So he doesn't want to defend his Medicare for all. He doesn't want to defend his hike on taxes. So what is he going to do? He's going to talk about Israel, and he's going to trap anybody into responding what he says about Israel and not having to respond on what he's going to do for the people that elected him. Because I assure you that the people that are electing him in South Florida don't live in Gaza. That's the trap that they use. Let's make them talk about Israel so I don't have to talk about my policies.
But would they vote for someone whose whole policy portfolio is, I don't like Israel, but I can't actually do anything about it because I'm just a congressperson?
Well, they don't want to talk about their policies. And if they can escape that scrutiny long enough, because everybody that interviews them falls into the trap of defending Israel and says, forget about Israel. Aren't you being, why are you talking about, this would have been my question. Why are you still talking about Israel? I thought you were here for South Florida. Why are you talking about Gaza? I thought you were here for South Florida. How are you going to solve South Florida? Is your answer every time you're asked about Medicare for all going to be a talk about Israel and Gaza? Is that what you're going to do? Are you going to actually help the people in your district, or are you just going to endlessly talk about Israel and Gaza to avoid any scrutiny about your policies? That would be what I would have asked her if I would have asked him if I was that reporter.
Yeah.
So they're I mean, I'll tell you what they're gonna say. They're like, I am speaking for all Americans because our taxpayers is being wasted on a genocidal country committing genocide in the Middle East. So this is
What are you as a
me.
congressperson in Florida going to do about it?
No, where are your
Like this,
taxes
it's not
going
even a
to
senator.
I'm gonna vote against any policies in Congress that keeps making this, that supports this, and I'm gonna use my platform in Congress in my to bring more attention into this, and stop endless wars for the sake of a genocidal regime.
Okay,
I'm gonna
Congressman, so
stop
you're
fight.
just going to evade the question about how are you going to factually do this, and you're going to keep talking about Gaza and about Congress having some nebulous federal savings that you claim you're going to make, but you're not going to tell us on the ground how are you going to make our taxpayers work locally in our schools? Can you talk about what money you're going to put in our schools? Not where you're going to get it, because anything you save in the federal budget isn't going to come to our school district until you do something about it, and you don't want to talk about what you're going to do about it, are you? You're just going to keep talking about these nebulous ambiguous savings by advocating for Israel and Gaza and not about Florida. Is that what you're going to do, Congressman?
Like
Yeah,
the opponent of this
as
guy
a
is probably going to focus on local things. That's the issue. That's the comparison.
Not the lefties.
No, I
The
mean,
lefties always hate on Israel. I hate them.
I mean, I'm gonna be able to mobilize a lot of young people who are tired about their tax money getting wasted on endless wars in the Middle East, and they're gonna come, and me talking about this is gonna come bring them out to vote more than the other guy talking about local stuff. That's what he's gonna say.
Yeah, voting isn't money. We need money to fund these projects, not voting. Mobilization is just people movement. Like movement doesn't create money.
Yeah. So
I'd be a better interviewer.
I'm sure. I have no doubt. um, I think that this is a politics of shame and redemption. I think that this is appealing to people who think that the government is fundamentally broken, not just sort of dysfunctional with regards to services and accomplishments, but also morally broken. And so there is a demand. And the question is, like, what degree is there a demand for this? We don't know. I mean, this is what we have to test with in the election. Like, is this a really galvanizing issue? Does this bring people to the ballot box? Because the people that are most animated about this tend not to vote to the same degree as the people who are voting on the kind of issues that that Monkey is talking about, right? But there is this like huge sort of social media demand and social media reward for this kind of signaling. Now, I think that Armin, when you said like, isn't this a victory? That like, even though the issue is this: it doesn't matter if it's a genocide or not. What matters is that the label has been successfully applied, right? And it's been done through so much repetition that there are a lot of people who just assume, well, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? That people are talking about this conflict so much, right? And yet, the killing goes on. So, and then it forces people like Guy into the defensive position. Now, let me show you the facts. Let me show you the evidence. But that is sort of like beyond that's not even the issue, right? It has nothing to do. It's just it was the race to the label. Now the label is there, right? Now, okay, now Gaza is a genocide. The label has been successfully applied, and there is an infrastructure that allowed them to win the race to the label. And that infrastructure is our real enemy, and we have to figure out how to dismantle it. And it's not going to happen overnight. But what I will say on the genocide claim, the issue is that this genocide claim itself has its own weakness. Okay, even though it's successfully applied, there is a weakness there, and the weakness is, okay, let's say, here's my question. My question is this. Okay, let's say for the sake of argument that Gaza was a genocide. In Yemen, over the last 15 years, we've seen a situation where just the number of people who starved to death okay, exceeds the number of people who died in Gaza. And the total death toll is higher than all of Israel's wars put together. But it's not a genocide, correct? Right? So if it is a genocide, then we should be more alarmed about Yemen than Gaza even, right? If it is a genocide, but it's not a genocide. So what I want to know is the combatants who are involved in the Yemen conflict, what policies did they institute to avoid a genocide? And I want to know also in Syria, okay, where we had similar situation, a death toll that exceeds all of Israel's wars put together, including Gaza and Lebanon, right, and Iran, including all of that put together. In Syria, the last 15 years, so only in this century, what policies did Assad, ISIS, Hezbollah, Turkey, what policies did they put in place to avoid a genocide? I want to know, because they did. They avoided a genocide despite the massive discrepancy in death in body count. Same with Sudan. Same with Congo. I want to know. Okay, in Russia, 1 million dead in the last 3 years, right? I want to know, what policies did they put in place to avoid a genocide? And that's never answered. It's never answered because the focus is always on Gaza. And the answer is, well, look at the data. No, you have to answer the other question, because if Gaza is a genocide, then there are other genocides. There appears to be other genocides that are worse. And if they're not worse, then you have to tell me how they avoided a genocide despite having a massively higher death toll.
By the way, I looked this up. Yep, got it. I looked this up, and here. Okay, so the story behind this viral image of a child in Gaza. Apparently, yep. Look at this. British journalist. Many fact check this misleading. A clarification about its publication after new information first. Independent investigative journalist David Collier has accused mainstream media of publishing the image of this guy Matuk without acknowledging the 18-month-old's pre-existing medical conditions. So yeah, this was not about famine. So fact checks confirmed that many severely emaciated. Is that how you pronounce
emaciated? Emaciated.
Emaciated. Yeah, what does that mean? Oh, like very
malnourished.
Thin.
Very skinny. Yeah, malnourished. Yeah.
Okay. Severely emaciated children featured in the media had severe pre-existing sickness that worsened when their specialist medical care was cut off. So it was not because of famine. It was because of their conditions. Also, a bit of good news. Have you seen this guy? This guy is dead.
Yeah.
Hamas. Is this true? Like, look at the caption. It's saying Hamas commander Walid Haniyeh, who roasted 2 Jewish newborns by putting them in the microwave. Is that right? Who killed a Christian tourist by ripping out her intestines after raping her on October 7th, was killed in an intel-based operation. He was hiding as a barber. So, right? Is that real?
The video is just people looking for him. Yes, this is real. Every part of this is real. This is what those people did on October 7th. They didn't just go and kill people. They went and they went with their biggest sadistic fantasies, because they consider Jews to be subhumans who deserve this. Yeah, he recorded it. Yeah, I believe this is in the 47-minute video.
He recorded putting babies in a microwave?
They all had GoPros on her forehead, and they aired it live to terrorize other Israelis.
Wait,
there's a 47
was alive? Was the baby alive before it went? Okay.
And I think his mother was watching. Like, how bad, however bad you think things can be, that's what they did. And it's worse than that is what they did. That is what October 7th was. There's a 47-minute video. I'm not going to share it here, and it will scar you for life if you watch it. So do so at your own discretion. But it's important context to understand what happened on October 7th. And Israelis are saints for the way they responded in the following 2 to 3 years, because they still fought a war that has a lower civilian to combatant ratio than most other wars, even though most of the population in Gaza was for this at the time.
Have you seen the video?
No, I've seen parts of it without the gruesome, like they let you sort of fill in the blanks. I don't feel like I need to see the video because I know what happened, and I'm not the one who needs convincing, and I want to maintain my soul. I do think that everyone who's anti-Israel should watch it. I think like you have to morally to understand the situation. And you can close your eyes and just hear the parts that are...
Put a baby alive in a microwave and turn it on in front of the mother. That's what's in the video.
Yes. I can describe another. There's a very famous one. There are 2 kids. They killed the person killed their father. One of the children has like his eye nearly out. They're like 8 and 10, and they're saying, "Is he gonna kill us? Is he gonna kill us?" And the guy very casually goes into the fridge, opens the fridge, takes out a Coke, drinks the Coke, again their own fridge after he killed their father, asking them in Hebrew, "Where's your mother? I want to kill her too." And I think one of the children died later. Like he was very badly wounded. Like that's the level of when Netanyahu said in the UN barbarism, that is what he meant. It's literally barbarism. It's medieval cult of death, like dancing in blood, barbarism. And that is why Israel will never, ever, ever be able to allow Hamas to stay in Gaza. And that's why Kushner is not going to get anyone to trust me, bro, about Hamas staying in Gaza. But this is what the world became. Yeah, one second, I'll just finish the sentence. The world for Jews became a much darker place on October 7th because you realize that the Holocaust wasn't behind us. And then you hear the responses and people elated in the West. And then you see the anti-Semitism, suddenly like people who are ashamed to say it start coming out. The genocide accusation was already there on October 8th. Before any response, before they finished cleaning out the Gaza envelope meaning the Jewish settlements, the Israeli settlements around the Gaza Strip, of terrorists who are still there murdering people, they took a grandmother and live streamed on her Facebook page so that her family would see how they were slitting her throat. Yeah, go ahead, Monkey.
So this is a question more for you and for Armin, and it goes into what we were speaking about earlier with these organizations funding education. I think this is not normal human behavior. I think you have to, since you're a child, be indoctrinated into seeing these people as not human. And that's
Correct.
why one of the major problems in Palestine and Gaza and one of these major problems is in allowing this type of education to go on without supervision. Like I would warn people that this is where this type of education goes. This is where, like, if you let the anti-white people dehumanize the white people, like, I'm not a white people, but I like white people. If you let the anti-white people dehumanize the white people, this is what's going to happen. And I have been seeing savage attacks. It's more like individual cases. It's not like a large group going into somewhere for that purpose. But I have seen these types of dehumanizing attacks. And that's why I want to put it to Guy and to Armin, how much this has to do from people being indoctrinated into this oppressed, dehumanizing rhetoric since they're children.
So for them, it's not for them, it's not oppressor oppressed. For them, it's Jew, subhuman Jew, and Islamic supremacists, like Islam supremacy. This is not about oppressor. They don't use that rhetoric internally. They only use it externally to convince stupid Westerners. For them, it's the Jew is the enemy. The Jew is
the oppressor. The Jew is the oppressor. Is it? It is still oppressor. Oppressor.
No, but
mentality.
that's not. They have a victimhood mentality, but it's not about the Jew being the oppressor. It's about the Jew being a Jew taking over their lands for Hamas. Like this is. They want to be the oppressors. It's not about they feel oppressed and therefore the oppressor is bad.
But that doesn't negate what I'm saying. Okay, they think the Jew is the oppressor, and they want to be the oppressor.
Yeah,
but they do think the Jew is the oppressor.
Well, they use this for language, but the same concept.
No, it's they don't use a different language. It's the oppressor part is not the reason they hate the Jew. If the oppressor was Muslim, that would be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, true. But it is. They still do use the language of oppressor, oppressee. They just think that they should be the oppressor. The natural order of things is not correct. But go on.
The problem is not with oppression. The problem is with Jews. The problem is that the Jew is above them. It's not about it's not human rights. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not just vocabulary. But like they say oppressor, but the problem is not they're the oppressor. It's like the Jew is the oppressor, not the Jew is the oppressor.
Yeah, so the language that they use is more about dominance rather than oppressor, oppressee, but it's basically translates to the same thing that we're talking about. But yeah, it's not just a Jew. It's basically the non-Islamic world, and the Jew is like the most ugly representation of that in their mind. But it's basically their goal is dominance over everybody, including the Jews. But everybody. Sorry, go on, Sid.
Yeah, so I want to basically. I mean, I'm backing up Guy on this one. That it's very, very obvious when you listen to whether it's Hamas or PIJ or even Fatah, right? That they don't have, and this is true of many governments and groups around the Middle East and North Africa. They have zero principled objection to oppression. Zero principled objection, and that's why the language doesn't work, because nobody cares about oppression. It's just really not that important to them. So what Guy is talking about is that's the way it's sold, because Westerners do have a principled objection to oppression, right? So they sell it to the West and say, hey, like people are being oppressed. Aren't you angry about it? Yes, of course I'm angry, because I hate that people are being oppressed. But internally, they don't care about oppression, right? They have no principled objection to it. It's merely who should be dominant, right? Who should be in control? And for the Arab nationalists, it's Arabs. For the Muslim Brotherhood, it's Muslims, right?
That's true. But when they okay, so it's true. But I just want to be clear: when they say we need to be dominant and they shouldn't be dominant, the idea of they shouldn't be dominant is then repackaged as they're oppressing us for a Western audience,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
And they just leave out the other part that we should do to them. We are okay with dominating over them. They're just basically telling half of the complaint. That's what they're doing.
I think it's that they're leaving out more than half, because it's not just that we should be the oppressors, but we like oppression. We're totally pro oppression, right?
Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And Fit Over 50 Fitness is saying Muslims have a superiority complex. Muslims have managed to have a superiority and an inferiority complex at the same time. Yes. So they're dealing with both at the same time. And they feel inferior because they compare themselves to the rest of the world, and they think that they are inherently should be superior. So they're dealing with both.
And it's important to know that UNRWA provides the curriculum in Gaza.
Yes.
And UNRWA also provides the curriculum in the Palestinian Authority. It's a difference in methods, not in goals, between the current Palestinian Authority and Gaza. And so people ask me if I'm for a two-state solution. I am for a two-state solution in the hypothetical where they have a if they had proper leadership that wasn't just trying to kill Jews, then this could have been solved ages ago, including for the religious fanatics. You could have just had a special status for areas that that Palestinians would have special access to, and Jews would have special access to, and so Jews would have their access to their holy sites. But because they don't care, because their problem is with Jews, then we can't solve it this way.
Like the
Okay,
Emiratic
I'm
plan
very
model?
much. I'm very much against the two-state solution, but we could talk about that later, because even if you could get the perfect conditions for a two-state solutions, it could be temporary and it could get all crappy again, and now they have their own nation states. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I'm talking about in the hypothetical where they were different people, or they had like 2 generations of different education.
If they weren't the people who they were. But even if they weren't the people who they were, if you have those places, not Israel anymore, then the people who do have that mentality will infiltrate and use it against Israel. But anyways, brainwash them. I mean, if you could brainwash American kids, you could brainwash anyone, right? You had some comments start before we read the super chats. Do you wanted to highlight them?
Yeah. So just to ensure that I am like what I said was factual. The one thing I got wrong is the kids are both alive. It was their older brother that was murdered on Zakim Beach by the terrorists. Okay, so the guy with the Coca-Cola, the kids didn't die. It's only their brother who died. But everything else I said is true.
And did you start a comment over there above or no?
I started one
the
from
Jose one is not
Jose,
mine.
but
Okay.
it was about the guy that was running for office in Florida. That was only a state senate, so he can't even do anything at the federal level by talking about Gaza and Palestine. And I am in Florida. That only works in Miami, Tampa, and Kissimmee, so it doesn't work in most of Florida. Thank you, Jose.
Good. Thank you. All right, look, we got some super chats. Oh, before I read the super chats, I just wanted to show you how the brainwashing of the Iranian people has failed. This was a new video from inside Iran. I know this is anecdotal. Just wanted to play it. This is from inside Iran. Okay, I'm gonna mute it because it's a Michael Jackson song. These are the Iranian people inside Iran. This is what they want to live like. And they're dancing. Is this the Michael Jackson dance? I think it is, because they're doing a moonwalk. The song is Michael Jackson.
There's several moves from different performances. Like they're also mixing the Thriller moves. Like there's different moves in there from different songs, but that's all Michael Jackson moves and the song.
And the caption says, "How beautiful you are, how talented you are. You've become a prisoner of a bunch of stinking mullahs." That's what the caption says. Anyways, just wanted to show you the difference. The brainwashing has failed in Iran. The brainwashing of the Iran.
Yeah, and God bless the Iranian people. Like, really, I can't express enough how deep my admiration and care for the Iranians is. So really quickly, and also I'll have to go in like 10 minutes. But Rodel is asking, is this 47-minute video the one that Bibi showed POTUS that changed his mind about bombing IRGC? No. The 47-minute video is about October 7th. It's available online at your own discretion. But what Bibi showed POTUS has to do with incontrovertible evidence that the regime is killing the protesters, like just mass shooting them in the streets.
Guy, I got a question. Did they edit the sex stuff? At least blur it or something? They don't show that, right?
I don't know. I think it's a super cut. It's not like they. It's important to understand that they recorded everything they did for over a day. The 47-minute video is a supercut of stuff. I don't know if they show the rapes. I believe it shows the bodies with the bloodstains at the very least.
Why are they not releasing the whole thing? Shouldn't they be releasing the whole thing for the world to see?
So the problem there is, and it took a while to release the video, and I think it was a mistake, all things considered, because the family members would be then inundated by trolls sending them the images and videos of their loved ones being killed brutally. And that happened for the first few days after October 7th. Facebook had to limit Israeli Facebook because that's what people were doing.
Jeez.
I think there's also a legality problem. That's why I'm asking, because I don't even want it in my, history if it's got sex stuff that I don't want like anywhere near my computer.
So that's a good point. I do want to read the super chats before Guy goes, because some of them might be about Israel. So let me just go through them. Justin, thank you so much for the super chat, saying the problem in America is we have an identity crisis. We're constantly looking for something to find identity in. Israel is firm. Yeah, identity in Israel is firm in its identity. That's why Israel has such unity and purpose. I mean, I do believe that United States has managed to, without having ancient history, provide a source of identity that is nationalism in a way that so many other countries have after the American Revolution have very effectively copied the American model of creating an identity, the new modern state nation, the new modern nation state model, and having its own, I mean, Iran and Israel have ancient history and they rely on ancient identities. And if you have them, it makes sense to use them. But I think United States has very effectively shown that even if you don't have that ancient history, there is a genesis story and identity and some values that you could rely on to create an identity like that, right? Even if it's not that ancient. But
yeah, I just want to chime in here because it's one of the things, like, my sort of my proximity to Israel has given me some very interesting insights and lessons from that. So what I see in Israel, in particular, the institution of the IDF, and what it does for a very diverse population, right, that came from many, many different parts of the world. And, within a generation, it's able to get people invested in the national project, such that people from different walks of life and from different ethnic communities become friends, and become and really, really close bonds are formed in this way. And what it is ritual. It's a secular ritual, but it's very, very powerful because ritual is what makes people feel part of a group. So, I think that I remember, like, when I was young, we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance. This is a ritual. It may seem very small, right? But in hindsight, these things are important. These kind of secular rituals to get people invested in the national project. And I think there's more that we can learn from Israel in this regard.
All right, let me go through the list of the super chats before we lose Guy. Go ahead.
Yes, so I agree with. Can you put it back up, or is it too late?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. So I agree with most of the comment. I don't think Israel has as much unity as it might appear from the outside at the moment. But at the end of the day, on a deeper level, I think you're right. I think Israel has managed to not lose its identity over the last 100 years. And like, there's a book, I just sent Armin the link on Telegram. You can put it either in the chat or in the description or something. It's called The Genius of Israel, like why Israel works. A lot of it has to do with the Jewish identity specifically. So, and Jews are deeply rooted in their Jewish identity for the most part. And we have things like Shabbat dinner, and Shabbat dinner is essentially Thanksgiving every week. And imagine what that does to social cohesion, where you have your entire family gathering every week to do a feast and a meal together and dress like for a holiday. Like it's a special occasion, and most Jews in Israel do that. Also, like, Israel is a unique combination of sameness and diversity, in the sense that we're all part of the shared culture of Judaism, but we all went to different parts of the world and took things from all of them, and then brought them back in to, like, create a unique blend of the world. And really all corners of the world. Like, you had Jews in India, you have Jewish communities in India. It's called Bnei Menashe. So the book that I just sent Armin, called The Genius of Israel, talks a lot about why Israel is uniquely positioned to not fall victim to the meaning crisis that the West is going through, but at the same time maintain its modernity and its forward-looking. Like, it's very deeply rooted, but also very forward looking.
Okay. So, Guy, I want to make sure you're here for the rest of the comments, and also I did find the comment that you wanted highlighted while you were speaking.
Can I just
okay,
say
so-
one small thing? Okay. One of the things that's so amazing.
I have a bit longer, by the way. I just got
okay. Okay,
news
great.
from my wife. So usually I put my daughter to sleep, but she already put her to sleep. And so like I have a bit longer.
Okay, great. Go on, Sid.
I told you this before, Armin, but I have known for a long time that the Iranian people are very pro-Western, very modern in their outlook, and that they are not represented by their government. So I've known this for a long time, but I was really overwhelmed by the Iranian community's support for Israel in the wake of October 7th. And I was so moved by that. And this really sort of was the thing that got me really invested in the Iranian National Project.
Same.
So I would say like that was the foundation. But in the process, I have learned more and more about the Iranian people. And my admiration just keeps growing and growing and growing. I remember one video you showed, Armin, during the Iran Revolution Live streams that you did was a chant. I think it might have been from before the December January uprising. It may have been from the Women Life Freedom movement, but it was a group of men and women, and the men were chanting "Women Life Freedom," and the women were responding, "Men, Family, Nation."
Mad Mihan Abadi, which means man, nation, prosperity. So
Man,
woman,
nation.
life, freedom. Yes, woman, life, freedom, man, nation, prosperity.
And so this was really important for me because it showed me that it's not just that Iranians and Israelis share a common enemy, but they also share exactly what Guy was talking about, a deep rootedness and a forward thinking. Like they're able to maintain both of these things, and they are able to avoid the pathologies of the sort of like overfed, comfortable West. And I just realized that attachment is actually much deeper
Yes.
than just a common enemy. There's something about the ancient culture that survives the turmoil and the oppression and the attempt of erasure. It survives that, and it sustains, and it allows these people to look beyond and to look forward while keeping their identity strong and their sense of family strong, and avoiding these pathologies.
I completely 100% agree with that. I actually was going to say it and forgot in the fervor of like, yes, this is like, I considered Iranians to be kindred spirit in a unique way that I don't think any other people are like, I feel that way towards. And then you think about our shared history, and also once Iran becomes free, I think it's also going to have this thing of a unique blend of diaspora people coming back and bringing things from the cultures, the diverse cultures that they were in. And like I think Iranians also that like I've discovered this after I became interested in Iranians, but actually I have an Iranian family member who married into the family, and like you could see in the wedding that the Israeli side and if I married into the family with like Americans, and the Israeli side was really got along together with the Muslim, but nominally Muslim, Iranian side. It's just they had the same vibes, the same thinking, the same warmth, but at the same time not being backwards. Like that same shared sense of community and being part of something fundamentally, not being overly individualistic, being part of something greater. Which, by the way, is the way to solve the meaning crisis. You want to feel a sense of meaning in your life. Be part of something greater than yourself. And so like there's this richness, this cultural richness that both sides have, that also intermingle, by the way. Like you have the Babylonian Talmud. A lot of it is discussions with Zoroastrians that made it in, and there was a lot of affecting each other for both cultures. Like there's a lot of things in Zoroastrianism that jive with a lot of things in Judaism because of that mutual.
So last point.
Yeah.
Last point before I'm going to make sure to that. But yes, the history between Zoroastrianism and Judaism goes really, really deep. Did you finish your point? Or
Yeah, basically, it's just
okay.
I can keep going forever about this feeling, but yeah.
So yeah, I do want to play the video that Sid was talking about. So I mean, so like, the caption. Why does it not give me the option to translate? Okay, so it says the men are saying Zan Zendegi Azadi, which means woman, life, freedom, and the women are saying Mad Mihan Obadi, which means men, nation, prosperity. And this was the chant. This was in university. This was many years ago because the Iranian people don't use these chants anymore. They have upgraded, but this was before. By the way, this is not just a message of them supporting each other, the men and women supporting each other. This was also a way to refuse getting this taken over by leftist feminists, right?
Yeah.
Because it was woman, life, freedom, the leftist feminists were trying to hijack this as something that this is a feminist thing. And immediately, right at the beginning, they started inserting men in there as well to say that this is about all Iranians, not just the women. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I brought this up, but I didn't even explain it. So my bad. This was exactly the point. So what I see in Israeli society, and what I'm very encouraged by, is they don't have the gender polarization. There is a sense of cooperation. And a sense of like shared participation in the culture. That's the way that I grew up. But I think that like younger generations, there's increasingly more like distrust between the sexes. And what I saw, I don't see that in Israel. Like I don't see that. I see family formation happening, young people getting married, having children, people socializing with each other in a very, very healthy and positive way. Right. So I just don't see that that's a Western pathology. And it doesn't require suppressing women. Right. It's an entire rejection of suppressing women. Women are free, but they are invested in the project, and men and women are invested in the project together. And that's what I saw in that chant that was so moving to me. Because it's showing that, like, yeah, this is not a conflict among the sexes. This is highlighting that when the regime oppresses women, they're oppressing us all. And we have a vision not of just the lifting of women, but the lifting of society, right? And of course, you cannot oppress women in order to get that, right? So, but it's a recognition that this is not a conflict between the sexes. This is a conflict about our national identity and our future.
All right. So sorry, guys. I want to make sure that we respond to more super chats before Guy leaves.
I can stay until the end of the stream. I just got to go.
Okay, good, great. Amir the Cricket, thank you so much for the super chat saying, Sid, I think you should. Oh, you want to read this? Sid, is directed at you.
Thanks, Amir. Sid, I think you should open a YouTube channel. If you plan to do so in the future, get your followers from early on, better sooner than later. Yes, I am in the process of opening my channel, and I believe that it will be live next week.
Awesome. Yay, guys. We're going to have the link in the description when that happens. And thank you, Amir. I agree. And then Northwest Chickpea with a super chat saying, Arab Israelis were also murdered that day. Yes. And Arab Israeli Muslims were also murdered that day.
and other
and
people too, like
yeah,
workers,
and Thai workers,
tourists.
yeah. And some of the Arab Israelis were trying to rush in to give medical aid to the people who were being slaughtered, and they were slaughtered doing that as well. There are some Arab Israeli heroism stories from that day that we should not forget. And I'm, as some of you know, I'm very for embracing the Arab Israelis that are willing to openly call themselves Zionists. I think there are a lot of people who are closet Zionists in the Arab community because it's a bit taboo to talk about. But there were some Arab heroes that day. Absolutely.
What about? Would you say there were some Muslim heroes that day? Because that's something
Yes.
some people. Okay.
Most Arabs in Israel are Muslim. You have specifically like in Nazareth and places like that, you have the Christian communities.
Okay, I agree. All right, then we got another super chat from Noah. Noah with the super chat, the Persian American, saying, "What are your views about a one-state solution? I believe in a one-state solution. That I think there is already that is already one nation. Should be one state. I don't think that it makes absolutely no sense for the Israelis to trust that if you have a nation state of Palestine, even if you get to a position where you could de-radicalize them, and after decades of working with each other and monitoring the education there and making sure the kids are not being brainwashed. Imagine if we managed to finally somehow get a completely de-radicalized population in Judea, Samaria, and Gaza. As soon as it becomes an independent nation state, it will become the target of investment by all things anti-Israelis, everybody anti-Israeli. I mean, if Qatari money could have this much influence on United States of America and their education, think about it. It could go back. It could go back to how it was before. So there is no Israeli should not at all ever trust having an Islamic Republic of Palestine right next to the border. But Guy, you actually
Can I ask a question about this?
Wait. I want to clarify first, because I think Armin is wrong because of semantics, because of an understanding what a one-state solution means. So a one-state solution is not the opposite of a two-state solution. It's a distinct solution wherein you give Israeli citizenship to everyone between the river and the sea and make it into one state.
not necessarily.
When people talk about the one-state solution, that's what they talk about.
When people talk about, not me.
Right. So I'm saying, like, a one-state solution. I think you need sort of a hybrid, because you don't want the Palestinians, who will take at least 2 generations to be de-brainwashed. You don't want them to be citizens of Israel. That will just destroy Israel. I am for a solution wherein you have a semi-state-like entity for them, that they have certain autonomies that they can self-govern in like their enclave. So the Emirate solution is basically that. You have autonomy for Arab cities in the West Bank, and presumably Gaza would also be this. In terms of civil things, but Israel, they're under Israeli like sovereignty as far as the military. So there's one military between the river and the sea. They're very connected to Israeli economy and stuff like that. But they are their, like, sort of like Puerto Rico, where they are their own thing. But the one state solution, as most commonly talked about, is bad because it leads to a binational state, which I know Armin didn't mean.
Yeah, but yes. Why can't you slowly move them to other places, push them out of the area?
It's a really, like, bad. So there are people who have their families in those areas. Like, if there's no other solution, then reluctantly I'd be for it. If it's that or constant war, then fine. But you can't forcefully evacuating a population when no one in the world is willing to do it.
No, forcefully, like you basically over multiple years, you just make it easy. Honestly, if you make it easier for these people to leave, most of them would leave, right? You just make it. It's a combination of making it easy to leave and making it difficult to stay, and also maybe for a few minorities that have proven themselves to be completely, and you could provide a path to some people who have proven to be over multiple years of de-radicalization, of having no connection to the original people that are alive today. I'm not talking about anyone alive today. Like just a path to becoming maybe residents for people who have from childhood proven to not be radicalized, but mostly like a combination of making it hard to stay and making it easy to leave in to other countries.
It would really depend on the details, and I also think the Palestinians in the West Bank, at least, are much more fervent. Like the Gazans are tired because of the war, and most of them want to
This
leave.
generation, the ones living.
Yeah.
I'm talking about multiple generation. Like this would require. I'm talking investing in the children.
Yeah. So I would be okay with that, but I think also it's okay if you have Arab custodians of Hebron that are cooperating with Israel and allow Israelis rights to go, like, as a tourist destination, to go visit the tomb of the patriarchs and all that stuff. Or not just tourists, like we should co-own the place, and they'll be like the Muslim custodians and we'll be the Jewish custodians. There's a way to do that, especially in Hebron, that would work.
Get the Arab countries to build a city that is livable in the Sinai and just slowly move them there. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Ideally, sure, but this will have a lot of pushback from a lot of places.
Well, don't they like that
just make
problem? Isn't like, oh yes, that
Yes.
problem. It's a great problem. Let's have that problem there forever.
They're not letting
Isn't that part of
Gazans
the
leave
problem?
Gaza because they don't want Israel to solve the problem with the Arabs.
But honestly, the Arab countries, this is their problem. The Palestinian cause is their problem now too. Like used to be.
No, I mean that they're not going to build a city to fix a problem that they like.
Yeah, Monkey.
But they don't. That's what I'm saying. They don't like. But I'm saying they don't like it anymore. The Arab countries hate the Palestinian cause. Saudi Arabia hates the Palestinian cause. The UAE hates the Palestinian cause. Jordan hates the Palestinian cause. So they don't like this project.
They got enough money for that.
Actually, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Like as far as like Jordan is concerned, or Egypt, like I'm not, or even Saudi Arabia, I'm not convinced that they hate the Palestinian cause. I think that they have a, well, so at least in my reading, it's a little bit more complicated than that. I know that there's some people who do. There's no question about it. But there are actually a lot of people who I think they are professional Palestinian causers. Like they earn their living through the Palestinian cause, right? Or not necessarily the cause, but they leech off the conflict. And so unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are invested in
Qatar, the Islamic Republic, Muslim Brotherhood, and leftists.
Yeah,
and the Palestinian Authority.
But like you see, for example, like when you saw we saw it yesterday, Sisi sitting with the head of Hamas, right? So what's going on there, right? Like there is some extraction going on. Like Egypt, I don't think Egypt is really invested in solving the problem, right? Like I think they look at it as like, okay, this is an opportunity for extraction. Right, Americans are paying us.
Egypt hates Palestinians. Egypt,
I know. I'm not saying that they like the Palestinians. I'm saying that they earn money off the perpetuation of the conflict.
No, not anymore.
No, not Egypt.
They don't earn money. They earn their rule, because the street in these Muslim majority countries is very pro-Palestinian because of all the lies that have been sold in social media and in the education and so on. Egypt is essentially stuck right now. It's trapped under its own propaganda because, like, if you, the easiest way to divert attention from from your own corruption is to blame Israel. Look at what the evil Zionists are doing. And a lot of these regimes in the area, that's their way to get the flames off of themselves, because their populations are very pro-Palestinian. Now, the issue there is that the leaders who actually know what's going on, like the Palestinian issue is now a bone in their throat. Like they're stuck with it, but they can't just let go of it, especially now. I mean, they were going to before October 7th, but now they can't let go of it because of a potential uprising that would have to deal with their own populations. But they're not getting money anymore as a result of this. The Palestinians are. The Palestinians are the ones leeching. The Palestinian Authority is the ones leeching off of Palestinian suffering to get more donations from Europe and the West. But it's not like the Arabs are. No, it's now a problem. It's now a net negative for the Arabs, the Palestinian issue.
So I think
yes.
I'm describing something else. So let me see if I can get it across. So in the case of Egypt and Jordan, they are beneficiaries of American military cooperation. Okay, which is generally one direction. So they benefit, we pay, right? And that cooperation is based on the idea that these regimes are bulwarks against a radical population, right?
Yes.
Okay. So and a sort of one of the like, let's say, fuel for the radicalism is the Palestinian cause. Okay, so if the Palestinian,
So that's where I disagree.
Okay.
I don't think the Palestinian cause is the cause of radicalism.
I'm not saying it's the cause. I'm saying it's fuel.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's something that, like, it can be
Sure.
stoked at any time and get the radicals jumping, right? And so just looking at it from that standpoint, right? If the problem doesn't exist, then the need for that sort of investment in security cooperation is less. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, that they have a vested interest in sort of maintaining. It's as I've said before, like with Sisi, like he's meeting with Hamas. His position is Muslim Brotherhood for thee, not for me. Okay, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. He knows that the Muslim Brotherhood is destabilizing, and he doesn't want it, within his borders. But he's okay to allow it to simmer across the border, because it helps to justify the security cooperation that he has.
So I disagree with that part. I think if they could.
So, Guy, last point, because I want to make sure we get to the other super chats. But yeah,
I didn't get to ask my question though.
Yes. Okay. So, Guy, and then Monkey question, and then answering Monkey's question. But everybody keep it short. Thank you.
If they could make the Palestinian issue disappear, I believe that they would. I think they're suffering from it more than everything else, and you don't need that fuel for the Muslim Brotherhood to be a problem for these regimes, regardless, the Muslim Brotherhood or ISIS. Actually, ISIS barely ever talked about Palestine. That wasn't like, they're more busy with the rest of the Sham, which is the larger Syrian area. So I disagree on that part. I think Sisi is meeting with Hamas because he has to, for internal consumption reasons. Because his population, when they had an election, they elected the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay, so my question is, since there's so many opinions and different things about the two-state and the one-state solution, can you do a program about this? Like, what is the two-state solution? Like, you go over the 12, like Emirati plan, go over the one-state solution, different versions of it. Can you do a show on that? Can you put that in the books maybe sometime next week?
He said yes. Guys, everybody, Guy's channel is in the description. Guy is going to do a show on that.
Can I say something? Can I just say one short thing?
One sentence. Sentence.
All right. I propose, because the one-state solution has been tainted, that we name this Armin's one-state solution plan as the Navabi plan. Hashtag Navabi plan.
Okay, I'm not Israeli. I don't think people are gonna like.
No, it's your plan.
If I tell
you're a peacemaker.
if I tell the people around me that my Iranian co-host is calling a transfer over after his own name, they're not going to take this well. Like there's
Hey,
a lot
it
of
was
stigma against this solution, even if you're doing
oh,
it in a more humane way than usually it's talked about.
It still needs a name.
the Navobi
It's called
solution.
transfer.
Okay.
Okay.
Guy
Okay.
plan.
You know what?
No.
Hey, you know, last time it was an Iranian. There was a Cyrus the Great who did the transfer. You know, of I don't know. Never mind. I tried to say that doesn't work. Justin with a super chat saying we're dealing with full blown narcissism.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, what are you
I
doing?
accidentally clicked
I'm
something. I
reading.
clicked something by accident. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, I say Armina course. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Navob hashtag Navobi. Oh my guys, I'm joking. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, I love
Justin
it.
saying,
Keep going. The Bobby plan.
oh, no. We're dealing with full blown narcissism, level 9 to 10, with these Durkas. Narcs are also masters of convincing others and themselves of victimhood. And there's only one way to deal with narcs on this level.
Narcissist.
Okay. Narcissist. Oh, okay. Narcissist. Okay, that's short for narcissist. I was like, why are we talking about narcotics or something? Okay. Justin, I was like, okay, what are you talking about? Okay, so I mean, I'm scared to ask what is the solution? Is it YouTube? Is it friendly? Is it like YouTube based on TOS? Okay, I don't know. What is the solution? What's the only way to deal with them? Don't actually, you know what? Don't answer that. Okay, don't answer that. We want to play it safe. And Justin, thank you so much for the super chat saying I'm convinced we Christian, Jew, and Zoroastrians worship the one same God. Elam was Noah's grandson. Magi. What is
The Magi in
the
Iran,
magicians, the three
Zoroastrian.
magicians. Yeah. Yes, the Magi received revelation about Christ. I believe this is why we are also so connected. I mean, the Zoroastrian religion, the God of the Zoroastrian religion is very, very, very different from the Abrahamic religion. So it's not the same God. It's not the same God. The Abrahamic religion and Zoroastrian, completely different gods. But I mean, I think the connection comes from just the deep connection between the Iranian people and the Israeli people, the nation of Israel and the nation of Iran, under two empires, the Achaemenid Empire and the Sassanid Empire. That's why the connection ends up being so deep. But the gods are different. And thank you, Justin, for the super chat. Cool. Okay. Thanks. Bye. Thank you so much for the super chat saying give them a KFC coupon plus send the Palestinians to Jordan. Yeah, I mean
That solution aligns with his name.
So actually,
okay,
back to
but let me say something that will make Jordan fall, and I don't want Jordan to fall. Make them a new place, build them a city. The Arabs, like the Persian Gulf Arab countries, love building new cities. Maybe they could just build a new city in the Sinai Peninsula. Just move them there. Make the conditions right. Build them a city there. Move them there. Don't make Jordan fall. We don't want Jordan to fall. But yeah, go on, Guy.
So there is what you're suggesting is something that people have suggested to make Sinai Palestine. That has been suggested by some people. When I do the show, I'll talk about that. But true, there are actually, this is back to the previous super chat. There are actually historical traditions that explicitly claim that Zoroaster or Zarathustra is Abraham. So there are like claims that are at the very least made about that.
I know people make all sorts of claims about things that have no historical evidence for. So
now I want chicken.
Yes, and also Ben is saying Egypt ain't giving Sinai to that. Egypt is so dependent on U.S. military support, and they have no money without they wouldn't be able to survive without American support. So there is a way to force them. You could pay them. You could pay them into agreeing to this, or withhold aid. You could make them withhold aid if they don't do this, and give them more money if they just do it. Like you could give Egypt something that they will make them accept this. Also, you could I mean, it's for the sake of the Palestinians. Like, I don't know, there is a way to get this done. There is if with enough pressure you could do it. Northwest Chickpea with a super chat saying, I think nations naturally evolve into monotheism or what is that? Henotheism? I don't know what henotheism is.
I'm looking that up.
Okay, I don't know what henotheism
The worship of one supreme god while accepting that other gods might also exist.
Yeah, I mean, this is how the evolution of religions have been in history. So you're not wrong. Like it started with, it started with finding spirits in nature, and then it turned into gods with their own pantheon, and eventually it evolved into monotheism. So that's naturally how it happened. And thank you for the super chat. And then we got another super chat from Northwest Chickpea saying it's. Oh, this is
Shauna, by the
Shauna.
way.
Oh yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
it's
you.
Shauna.
It's Shauna in the.
Shauna.
And she looks like she's taking a bath for some reason. She is so like, yeah, this is Shana. Okay. Thank
Bubble
you.
bath.
Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, it looks like a bubble bath. Wow. Okay. Last time she said I have to go because I need to go for a shower.
Right.
Now this is the account that she uses when she's in the shower. So she wants to be here with us while she's in the shower. All right. Which I wanna do some more videos before we have to go. Let's do ice. Okay, is that okay, Guy, are you okay with covering some ice stuff? US is
Ice,
US.
baby. Ba-dum, ba-da-dum,
Yes.
ba-da-dum-dum.
Okay, we're gonna get copyrighted now. All right, so let's look at this video.
No sound.
Wait, let me play this. So apparently they're saying this ice shoot this Virginia man with taser repeatedly, punches fail while unconscious. So let's play this, see what's happening.
He showed up all beaten up. If they'd already hit him with a taser, why'd they beat him and why'd they slice his lip open? 7 stitches. I mean, what's the need when he was already unconscious on the ground, when he was already down from the taser, he was already there. Plus, he was a humble man, a humble gentleman. What's the need to cut his lip? What's the need to give him black eyes? Here it looks like they went at him with their fists. These aren't even scrapes. This looks like it's from punches. When he was already unconscious,
this looks like AI translated, right? Like this looks like somebody has AI translated.
he doesn't remember. He shows up at the hospital and they don't arrest him there. They don't put handcuffs on him. They don't put chains on him. And they just take him there all calm and only put an ankle monitor on him. They didn't do that. I mean, if he had been a wanted criminal with a truly terrible record, they would have locked him up right then and there and never let him out again. But God is truly great. God is so great, my dear friend. Then on August 11th, yes, on that very day, August 11th, 2 trucks were heading toward the path where he was walking to get to work. He attempted to run away, but they immediately chased after him. After the first enforcement officers, they deployed a taser against him.
Monkey, you want to respond to this part before I play the
Don't
rest?
run away.
Like
That's what you get. Why you running? Why you running? You got a gun? Why you running? You got a knife? Are you gonna stab me? Why you running? Why you running? You running because you got a gun? Now I gotta use extreme force to find out if you got a gun or not. I'm not gonna wait around and find out why you're running. I'm gonna make sure you can't fucking move so I can find out if you got a gun or not.
Okay.
They struck him right here in this spot. For those of you just joining us and wondering what is happening, this is the only detail he can recall. Then he collapses onto the ground. From the moment he hit the floor, he thought he was completely unconscious. Why on earth would they decide to strike him right in the face? He had to get 7 stitches put into his lip. I just don't understand how they could do this to a man like him. How could they cut him? Because look, they gave him a cut. As you can see here, he has stitches. He has, how many stitches did they give you there, sir? 7 stitches.
They had to give me 7
He has
stitches,
to go
believe
back
it
to
or
the
not.
hospital
Yeah, they
to
really
get
did.
the stitches out, right? 5, 7, 1,
I get it
2,
now.
77, 33, 0, 3 is Zell's number. I really hope this gets followed up on.
I mean, what do they want? I don't understand. Like, if you're a criminal and you're running away from the cops, like, what are they supposed to do? Like, come give you a massage? Am I being too cruel here? Isn't that expected treatment of people who are trying to evade the law? I don't know.
Also, like, I fundamentally would not trust this framing of events. Like, all I'm seeing is a man who's beaten up and a guy telling us, like, trust me, this is what happened. Maybe, but it's very likely that there are at least some key details omitted. And also, he himself said, if I understood correctly, that the dude ran away. So if you run away from the cops, what are they supposed to do? Like, they don't know why you're running away. They don't know who you are, but you're running away from the cops, meaning you have something to hide, meaning they need to take you down. Now, that's not to say that this isn't one of those cases where, unfortunately, probably do happen, where you have some excessive use of violence. But nothing about the way this was framed leads me to believe that, because I see just a person making claims. Look at this badly beat up person. Let me tell you what happened. Trust me, bro.
You know what's
Yeah.
the most marked, the number one enemy of the left? Body cams. I want to see the body cam footage, and I'm sure there is some body cam footage, because ever since body cams showed up, oh, I guess the officers do not abuse so much. Oh, I guess these people are resisting arrest. Oh, I guess a taser doesn't work sometimes on some people, and they keep fighting through a taser. And sometimes you got to tase them 1 or 2 times. You got to reload because some people are resistant to tasers. I want to see the body cam.
So yeah,
Yeah, go on.
yeah.
Go
So I think a few things here. So one, like, let's just for the sake of argument assume that what he's saying is true. And I'm not convinced, right? And I would want to look at the evidence to make that determination. But if let's just assume for a second that he's true. If he was tased and then and incapacitated and subsequently beaten, there's really no justification for that. Okay,
Right.
so if that happened, it's wrong, and the officers shouldn't engage in that behavior. On the other hand, on the other side, he's saying that he ran away. Why are you running away? That's really not a good idea to do that, right? That's bad practice, and it's dangerous. So we have to understand that law enforcement also are in danger. It's a dangerous job, and when people do things people do that kind of behavior, reckless behavior, things go wrong. That's not to justify if he was beaten when he was incapacitated. Not at all. I'm just saying that it's a very reckless behavior, and we have to appreciate that law enforcement is a dangerous job because they're dealing with a lot of dangerous people, and in a split second things go wrong.
I'd like to add to what you just said. If the cops did it wrong and the body cam comes out and this guy was abused, I would be all for taking those officers and punishing them. And that's something that usually only happens in very few places. When the officer does the things wrong, when the military does the things wrong, they get punished. There's a lot of places that the police and the military don't get punished when they do things wrong. I think Israel does this a little bit too, right? People do shit wrong, they face justice. In America, people do shit wrong, they face justice. It doesn't matter if you're police or military. And if that's the case, I'm gonna engage. Let's engage with the argument. Let's say it's true, like you were saying. Let's take it at face value. If that is what happened, of course we want justice for him. But they put an ankle bracelet on it, and they didn't leave that on him because it's illegal.
Yeah. So
just quickly, that's the difference, Monkey. You are willing to see the evidence and decide either way. Maybe he was wrong, then maybe he wasn't. But a video like this goes out there and it goes viral, and most people are not like you guys. They're going to be like, okay, this is police brutality. So a video like this is going to cause a lot of anti-sentiment. Like this one itself got like 400,000 views. But yeah, go on, sorry, Sid.
No, well, so I think that's exactly the problem. Like exactly the problem is that we should at least know by now that we are often being manipulated. That's not to say that this is a manipulation. We just don't know. But what we do know is that we are being manipulated. And so the correct response is, let's see the evidence. Let's find out what happened. Let's not rush to judgment. So that's the way that we should respond. And I think that also, like, the virality of social media is another thing that's being manipulated, and the people that are manipulating it are also involved in a demoralization project. So let's be careful. There are this is not to say that there aren't abuses. There are abuses, and those abuses should be identified and should be punished. But this alone is not evidence. It's not convincing. So let's investigate further. Let's see what happened. He may be right, and if he's right, then the people responsible should be punished. And law enforcement need to understand that there are consequences for abuses. But I think
Have you ever heard the saying, the lies run across the world 3 times before the truth can put its shoes on?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and this is something that those of us who who care about Israel see all the time. There's a massive volume of lies, and okay, I don't want to change the subject, but yes, but I totally agree with Monkey on that.
That's
So I'll
okay.
say just
yeah, go on.
One sentence. Like this is the classic playbook. I don't know that this is what was happening here, but I've seen a lot of posts on social media showing like a dead person, and then the caption is like, this person was shot by the IDF trying to get food. But you're not seeing the IDF shooting a person trying to get food. You're seeing a dead person and someone trying to frame what happened to them. So like this is the playbook, and you can't just trust the testimony at face value anymore, especially since there are people who are trying to actively demoralize you using that. By the way, UAE. So I'm just looking at the news. UAE is claiming that the 2 missiles came from Iran.
Oh, okay.
Iran? Oh my, okay. Well, okay. Interesting. Thank you for telling us. By the way, guys, make sure you subscribe to Monkey and Guy. Their channels is in the description. You go and support them. The link to their channel is in the description. We did get a super chat from Shana saying, I told you I'm clean and showered. Yes, you did. The picture didn't have, we didn't believe it, but now we have picture evidence. So, we have to wait for the evidence. And then you look clean.
Yeah, we need the proof. We need the evidence.
The proof. We need the proof. By the way, speaking of ICE, apparently ICE is now, I don't know why is this new, because they're saying breaking, ICE has been spotted in Muslim-dominated Dearborn, Michigan, arresting illegal aliens. More Dearborn should be a major priority for federal agent. It's ground zero for Islamists taking shit in the USA. So
absolutely.
Is this new? Yeah, okay. Go on.
Dearborn is the kind of place that Abdullah Sayed got elected through. Like this is an enclave of Islamism in the United States. I think they're majority Shia as well. But
is
they're like, I could be wrong. I remember seeing that somewhere, but feel free to check me on that. But yeah, they essentially took over a town, and are now that they have prayers. They don't give. They have their own like internal law, like they operate through Sharia law in the town, and then minorities being non-Muslims have problems there. Like it's a mess, and it's very good that ICE is finally taking care of this, because I'm sure not all of them are legal residents.
Do you think this will help or hurt Abdul El Sayed? And you're right. Yes, the Muslim population in Dearborn, Michigan is mostly Shia. Okay, so you've been invaded by the Islamic Republic then, if that's the case.
Yeah. That's a good question. Would it help him? I think it would galvanize his base more, but at the same time, I assume a lot of people from Michigan are very troubled by what's happening in Dearborn. Like, if I know about it, then I imagine like the next town over in every direction is troubled by it. And so a lot of people will be secretly happy about it. And but I'm not sure that's going to get them to vote more. That's a good question.
What do you guys think? I mean, let me play this before you actually Monkey and Sid respond.
At 51%, Abdul Asayed is at 47%. So in a state that has not had a Republican United States Senator since, get this, 1994 was the last time that a Republican won a Senate race in the great state of Michigan. Well, guess what? Mike Rogers at 51%.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be too hopeful and then be upset about this. But right now, the latest polls suggest that Rogers is ahead. Look at Polly.
There's also I don't know if it was just in the primary, but al-Sayed had like the polls way overstate their support for the progressives. This has happened in Michigan, and it happened in Seattle as well. I think it was Seattle, right?
Too. It happened. It happened with al-Sayed's primary victory as well.
Yeah, he was supposed to have like a 20-point lead, and he won by like 15,000 votes.
Yeah,
and so I don't know if it's going to reflect the general as well. It might just be an internal Democratic primary blind spot. But I think in general it's a bad like polls. I think this happens in Israel as well. Polls have a bad time assessing rural sentiments. And I think that's what most of the polls got wrong in 2024 with Trump. And I'm very confident this is happening again, because a lot of the rural people are not going to take this type of approach well. And I know some people are against Rogers, but I think like most people are going to vote for him. If it's between these two, they're either going to stay home or they're going to vote for Rogers, even if they're usually Democrats.
Let me just say one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Let me just say one thing about this guy, Harry Enton. I think, like, generally speaking, I think CNN is pretty much garbage. There are a few exceptions. And I would say this guy, Harry Enton, is one of the few exceptions. He will often confront his audience with news that they're not going to like to hear. He does it with regularity. And I think that's a great sign. I wish more journalists and more broadcasters were willing to do that.
I think if David Ellison takes over CNN, that's going to be a move in the right direction. I like what he's doing with CBS.
I don't know. I haven't seen him do other segments. I think I've seen him in front of this board. Now, if you're a leftist and you want to get the vote out, you want to scare them with this. So, I'm not going to say he's unbiased, but sometimes the only way to mobilize your base is to confront them with bad news. Like, that's what we like to do on the right. Like, don't think you're just going to win. Like, go out and vote, because these people cheat. That's the way we talk about it, right? These people cheat. They cheat a lot, so make sure you get out the vote. I've been talking on my channel, and I published an article about it. There's a lot of disenfranchising, and the people that are getting disenfranchised are usually Black people and Latino people, because a lot of us turned for Trump. Now, a lot of those people are resentful of everything that's going on, because they're the ones losing the jobs. They're the ones that have longer lines at every service, that even if they're on a bunch of services, they have to deal with being, it's a longer line for everything. There's less food for everyone. All the systems are getting like over capacity because of this influx. They're all noticing it. They're like, their schools are full. They don't have more resources, right? And they didn't ask for this, because the Democrats wanted to flip those people, wanted to like influence those campaigns. They filled systematically everywhere that turned red or purple. They filled it with immigrants. If you look at the map, it's statistically impossible to do it accidentally. And they also changed a lot of laws, so you could like register a friend, all those types of laws. So you still have to be very careful. But I predicted this exact outcome. I'd also want to bring out one more thing. There was a campaign where Hong lost. This is widely said. Fox said it. Everybody said it. I'm not spreading rumors here. 3 of the drives disappears. 3 of the USBs disappeared, and then appeared with a count that put the other guy up by a little bit. So they got the DSA candidate out. They did this to Bernie too. They thought Bernie is never going to win against Trump. Let's kick him out and get Hillary in, because she might actually win compared to Bernie. So I would also like say some of these DSA candidates might get pushed out through nebulous means, not necessarily by being, how shall we say, disavowed.
I do want to point out that this guy has been showing consistently these kinds of polls ever since the election. So it's not just done now to galvanize the voter base. Like, he's been demoralizing Democrats and like saying the party's fucked up for almost 2 years now, ever since Trump won.
God bless.
Yeah, so I'll just say beyond that, actually, he is a former 538 guy, so former a kind of from Nate Silver's orbit. I've been following him for a long time. And what I appreciate about Harry Enton is that, okay, there's polls, and he's a polls guy, right? So he's a polls data guy. He presents the poll results, and that's his job. But what he doesn't do, for the most part, and again, I've been following for many years, he doesn't put a sort of ideological spin on it that appeals to the modal CNN viewer. And a lot of people can show the same polls, but do that. And he doesn't do that. I appreciate that, and it should be the norm. So, you know, I'm bigging him up for something that, like, I would expect responsible journalists to do across the board. They don't, but that's why I'm calling him out, because he's somebody that I observed for many years. I think really trying his best to be responsible about the way he reports numbers.
I'll follow him.
Awesome. All right, just wanted to do one more. I mean, I don't know if how much time we got. Maybe we could do more, but you guys saw I don't know if you guys saw or not the debate between Candace Owens. I know, but I was trying to watch.
I love it. No, never mind. I'm just saying. I'm just supporting this. Line.
Yes, I know. So I just wanted to see how Nick Fuentes is viewing it, because I was listening to it, and it was about such nonsense, like claims by Candace Owens, and they were going over so much useless detail. Like, what am I listening to? I was hoping it was, you know,
it's the
more
Tucker
about
strategy.
Yeah, it was. It was
the same thing with Ted Cruz.
Charlie Kirk. Yeah, Charlie Kirk being assassinated by Israel and all of that. Anyways, I think, like, just watching this 3-minute summary of it and see what one Jew hater thinks about this other Jew hater, and just reviewing that instead. Did you guys watch the debate between Candace Owens and that Andrew guy? Did you guys watch it?
Lots of highlights.
Yeah, I felt like a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree.
So, guys, if you guys don't know, Candace Owens thinks that Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel, and this Andrew guy had a debate with her.
I think it's very important.
And yes, Mikey, can you quickly say why you think it's important before I play this video?
Before when the Charlie Kirk death happened, we were watching a pattern about liberals going out and killing people. They did it at churches. They did it to a news station. They did it at a lot of places. When this happened to Charlie Kirk, there was a movement on the right that was about to make everyone pay, make everyone go to jail, and make everyone that was doing this. We were going after these organizations. We were going after Antifa. That was all happening. After this snowball of blaming Israel for this, they started, number one, blaming Israel for everything. Then Venezuela was about Israel. Colombia was about Israel. Making this about Israel split the right and got them away from the target of leftist violence and leftist funding violence. That's why it's important, because this piece of shit on the left did that, and her friends Ian Carroll, Tucker Carlson, they have completely derailed the right into leftist causes. It was the left that got the benefit of Tyler Robinson not being the murder. It was the left that got the benefit of us not talking about all the other leftist murders. It's the left that got the benefit of blaming everything on Israel. Everything that this bitch Tucker and Ian Carroll and all those little flunkies have done has been for the benefit of the left, not the right, and against Israel. Okay. But that's not even the topic.
All right, so let's see what Nick Fuentes says about this.
And I think that most of the clips that you're seeing on social media, it's really more about who was the snarkiest and who was the most smarmy. I see one of the quotes that went viral from the debate is when Candace Owens said, "I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you." And this is just a statement without any substance. It actually doesn't mean anything. And when you hear something like this, you realize that what Candace Owens is, at the core, in her heart of hearts, is she is the right-wing version of Ketanji Brown Jackson. That's literally what she is. That is the most accurate analog. She is the right-wing equivalent of Ketanji Brown Jackson. In the same way that Ketanji Brown Jackson is underqualified, ignorant, barely literate, in the same way that she's injecting into the record of the Supreme Court all this snark and sass, you understood the assignment, this sort of thing, it's exactly the same on the side of Candace Owens. she's a total ignoramus. She is a typical sassy, ignorant, uppity Black woman that a large crowd on the right wing of mostly women, but also some of these like wife guy types are enamored with. That's really what she is. That's what she does for the right. And so it's not much different than, for example, when Kamala Harris says during the debate, "Excuse me, I'm speaking. A Black woman is speaking." And progressives eat that up. It's identical. And the same way that Kamala Harris goes in the debate and says, "I'm speaking." And all these progressives go, "Oh my gosh, she ate him up. She ate," who was it at that time? Mike Pence. "She ate him up. Oh my gosh, she ate and left no crumbs." How is that any different than when Candace Owen says to Andrew Wilson, "Sweetie, honey, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you." And Ian Carroll and all the other shitheads go, "Oh my gosh, Queen, go off." I mean, it's the exact same thing. How do people not see this?
Go ahead.
This is a terrible clip. Nick went into specifically why this was enough. He went over the names, the people who paid for it, the organizations. He went in the clip I sent you. He tears into the left and why the left are using these people. This is more personal about the way they talk. I don't care how they talk about it. I care what this did to the movement. Like, you play it. Maybe we don't have time for my clip, but like my clip goes
Where's
into
your
like
clip?
very specific.
I don't see your clip. Send me a clip. Is it a 2-minute clip?
I'll send it again. I don't know if no, I think it's a little longer than 2 minutes. I think it's like 6
There's-
minutes, but you can like skip through it. He goes very much into details.
There's one I saw, but it was before the debate, right? Like he already talked about, listen, we had them. The left were crumbling. We were able to show how batshit crazy they are. And then Candace Owens destroys everything. That's basically like,
Yeah.
I've heard him say this. It was a few weeks ago. So
No,
it wasn't
the one I
related
have
to the
is more
debate.
recent, and he just details
okay.
exactly who Max Blumenthal, the guy from that. He literally says where this narrative of Israel did it comes from the left. Where this narrative of Israel is the one that's behind the problems in Venezuela comes from the left.
All right, so
All these-
I'll
Can
play
I
that.
react? Can I react to this
I'll
clip?
play that next time. I'll play that next time. Go on, Sid.
Okay, all right. So I mean, this is, to me, this is Fuentes at his worst. So I mean, the criticism, he essentially racializes the criticism unnecessarily, because you can. I think that there are a lot of things that you can challenge Candace Owens on without racializing it. So it's just like I think this is the sort of the basest of analyses that he's doing, and he's somebody that is capable of better. This is the frustrating thing about Fuentes, is that he's a bright guy and he's often very insightful, but he's also,
is he
often maybe often is overstating it, but he's occasionally
Sometimes.
He's occasionally insightful. He is bright and he's charismatic, but he's also he appeals to our worst
Basic desires.
impulses,
Yeah.
our base desires, and he does that constantly. And so even if he is capable of insights, what he's putting into the marketplace of ideas is mostly garbage.
Right, and Shauna is saying, for context, a wife guy type is a straight male who actually likes respect and is attracted to his wife. Yes,
The
he doesn't
horror.
like- yeah. Oh no. All right, Guy, did you want to add anything before?
So he called her. I think I agree with Sid for the most part on both accounts. He has called her the right's DEI hire. And I think it's effective rhetoric for his audience. Unfortunately, but like you sort of, that gives them something to attach to. And again, the criticism there is not just her being black, although that's part of it. It's the kind of thing that Charlie was talking about, where when someone is a DEI hire, you automatically don't know if you can trust them, for example, with your life, if they're a pilot, because you don't know if there was more leniency with them for doing the job. Like in Israel, we have a debate about women in combat roles. Well, okay, they should be able to do the combat roles as long as they can pass the same battery of tests. But when you lower the test, like this is military stuff, it's serious. You can't just lower a person's tests and expect people to trust them the same way in that role. So, like, I agree with you. I think for his audience, unfortunately, because of what his audience is, it's an effective way to discredit her. And I think it's important to discredit her first. Like this is a war with the kind of stupid and malice that we've not dealt with before. So unfortunately, we have to take the gloves off. And Nick is going to, like, his audience is the kind of audience that would react to that. Like comparing Candace Owens to Ketanji Brown Jackson is devastating for Candace Owens. Like that's the kind of comparison that Trump would make that would be very, very effective. And Nick is a good rhetorician, so he knows that.
I just think if you go into the same day, you would find better criticism. Candace Owens is just a terrible clip.
You mentioned that already, Monkey.
I understand that. I already said that. I want to repeat it.
I'll be right back.
No,
it's a terrible clip. This is a terrible please
clip. Please stop repeating yourself. I'm asking you to please stop repeating yourself. Thank you. Guy, are you going to come back? Because I wanted to promote your channel.
Yes, I'm going to come back in a minute.
Can I respond to this one?
Yes, go ahead. You know what? Actually, now that he keeps saying that, let me play the whole thing before you respond to it.
Okay.
In the same way that Kamala Harris goes in the debate and says, I'm speaking. And all these progressives go, oh my gosh, she ate him up. She ate, who was it at that time? Mike Pence. She ate him up. Oh my gosh, she ate and left no crumbs. How is that any different than when Candace Owens says to Andrew Wilson, sweetie, honey, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. And Ian Carroll and all the other shitheads go, oh my gosh, Queen, go off. I mean, it's the exact same thing. How do people not see this? How do people not see that she's another one of these black women, these iconic black women, that it's exclusively women on the right wing that adore her? And like I said, a small subset of men like Ian Carroll, guys that were like Bernie bros, these like Burning Man hippie types. They still got a little bit of that in them from before, from back when they were progressives. It's the same thing. And that is really the only portion of the debate I think that anybody really remembers. It's not too much of the substance. It's just that sort of thing. When Andrew Wilson says, I have the text messages, but I'm not going to release them. I'm going to drip them. Isn't that what you do? I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. This is the level that we've sunk to.
All right, go on, Sid.
Okay, so this is Talin Nirov. It's people like Sid that are the problem, noticing the race instead of the content of the message, but whatever. Okay, so just to start with about me being the problem, I don't want to be the problem. So my intent is to offer something else. I'm really trying. So I mean, I have a disagreement with you about it, but I would just say, like, it's very much important to me to not contribute to a problem, to help to improve problems. With regard to noticing race instead of the content of the message, well, so that's my point. Like, I feel like race is a distraction. I don't think the problem with Candace Owens is her race. I think there are other problems that I want to highlight. And I would, I want the debate to be about those other problems rather than her race. Like, so that's the point that I'm trying to make. I think actually that is the distraction, right? The noticing the race instead of the content. The content includes race unnecessarily, and so race becomes a part of it when to me it's irrelevant to what I think about Candace Owens.
Great answer, honestly. Really great answer.
I just had an epiphany.
Okay, what was it?
Sid is the anti-monkey. He is as agreeable as monkey is disagreeable. Like that answer was very diplomatic.
Not full like he repeats himself as much as I do.
That's true. That's true.
Actually, that proves your point. Okay, but go on. See, he didn't.
Yeah, no,
agree
that
with-
so it's just that obviously Sid's problem is that Nick is making it racial. Now, he wasn't making it very explicitly racial at the beginning, but he made it very explicitly racial just now. We said, like, this is a black woman thing. Nick said this. So it's not Sid noticing Nick saying this. That's not a problem. If he's saying it's bad that Nick is making it about race, that's not Sid making it about race. And I think you could have been more forceful in saying that's it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, I'm okay with criticism, you know, and if I'm over indexing on race, then I ought to be corrected. So I'm okay with that. In principle, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with disagreement. So my desire in pulling this up is just to explain myself better, not to call this person out.
I love the way Sid handles criticism. It's interesting. I love it.
I have
Guys,
a question. What happens when we
30
go
seconds.
past 3 hours?
Oh shit, you're right. We can't go. Okay, guys, we're gonna have a group call in an hour. You guys are gonna be in it? God, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna be late.
Yeah, I'm probably going to
maybe.
be late too, but I'm going to try to join.
Yes,
No, I'm gonna be late because we're over 3 hours. Damn it, my editor is gonna kill me. So we're over 3 hours. So you guys said you're gonna be there, Monkey. You're gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it. And hashtag don't kill
hopefully-
Armin.
Okay, yes. Editor, thank you. See, yeah, go on, guy.
Yeah, I'm probably the same. I'm gonna join, not necessarily to all of it, but I'll be there at least in part.
All right, guys. So we have a discussion group. The link to it is in the description. The link to it is in the QR code at the top left. We have group calls every day. I'll be there. Monkey, Sid, and Guy might be there for parts of it. So make sure you come and check it out. We have calls every day. We have group calls every day. We talk about the same things that we talked here today. And if you don't join the group call, you could watch it because it's going to be broadcasted live in an hour on Liberty Politics YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to. But other than Liberty Politics, you should also subscribe to Monkey and Guy. Their YouTube channels, the link is in the description. Do not miss it. Go to the description, click on the link, and subscribe to Guy and Monkey. And pretty soon we're going to have the Sid's YouTube channel in the description as well. Awesome. All right, guys. Anything you guys want to add before we go?
Thank you
Good job,
guys
Michelle.
for the great chat, and thanks to the people watching. It's a real pleasure.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you in 1 hour. And until then, I'm Israel Chai, Slava Ukraine, Cuba Libre, Taiwan Jiayo, Long Live America, Javid Shah, Payande, Iran. Mwah.